TV network presents, broadcasting live from the greatest city in the world, New York City. It's the Bobby Brown Show. And now here's your host, Bobby Brown.
Your boy, Bob TV, Bobby Brown. Welcome to the Bobby Brown Show. And just getting back into my groove. I've been having hardware issues. I've been having deaths in the family. I've been going through a whole lot, y'all. A whole lot. Working hard, and they want to overwork you on the job. And I'm telling you, this labor movement thing need to get kicked off and popped off the right way. We need massive people out here on the streets to deal with these corporations, to really do. Everything is not always about electoral politics. Now, electoral politics has its place, but sometimes you got to get out there and make some moves. See, people in other countries, they don't do all that. They don't. Electoral politics isn't that big of an issue when it comes to making things happen in that country. They'll hit the streets. They'll shut stuff down. And we as American citizens need to get to that point where we be like those back in the civil rights movement. They shut stuff down. You still can work electorally. You still can push policies to try to make change, but sometimes we ain't got all that time. You got to get things done. And right now, this working, sometimes companies, they say they want you to work 40 when they're trying to pressure you to work 60 or you're going to get fired and all that kind of crap. It's got to stop. And Bernie Sanders trying to push for a 4-day work week. He been pushing for that. And we're going to talk about this stuff today. This particular episode of the Bob Brown Show is strictly about the Marianne Williamson campaign and my opinion on it. Now, when the Marianne Williamson was running from office, we looked at her campaign. We looked at her past, present, and future. Her past is still her present and still her future. What you got is a presidential candidate that will get beat upside the head, up and down, left and right for her spiritual point of view, just like they did that black sister who talked about a certain particular medication that can help people deal with the COVID. Man, they ran her through the mud. They pulled out all her spiritual aspects and put that to the forefront to discredit her on something that she's licensed and practiced on, dealing with health issues, sickness and disease. She's licensed and practical, even sit on boards to do this stuff. And they was telling people, don't listen to this nutwayne. She's a nutwayne because look at these videos of her preaching and teaching and stuff like that. They're going to do Marianne Williams the same doggone way. I don't care what her philosophy on war. I don't care what's her philosophy on progressive issues. I don't care what's her philosophy on reparations, because she got all that. Just that one thing alone is going to hurt her, because they're going to go all the way back to her teachings as a spiritual philosopher and use that to discredit her. Now, mind you, most of her teaching was about love and coming together and stuff like that. But she still, as a minister, as a teacher, as a preacher, she still has a little condescending, I'm better than you way than other people, mainly because of her education, mainly because of her positions, mainly because of the books she's written and the notoriety that she has. She still has a little arrogant ways about her. Case in point, I'm not going to go into this. Back in the last election, she met with the black community on some issues, which all politicians need to do. And went on this episode of Tone Speak, whatever it's called. And she began to talk to Tone about reparations and the value of reparations. And the moment Tone corrected her on that, she stepped back. She had even Sandy Darity on her particular podcast. And the moment Sandy Darity corrected her on the amount, she got, she don't like to be corrected. She thinks she knows better than everybody. But I'm going to get into this. Where did this Marianne Williamson stuff start from? Because clearly she got knocked out of the first elect. She didn't even make it too far in the presidential campaign against primary and Joe Biden. I mean, well, there was nobody being primaried. The 2020 campaign, she couldn't even get a word edgewise. The moment she talked about reparation, they shut her down. And she used this reparation talk to cater to black people, saying you need to vote for me because I'll get you what you need. Just because you're talking about it don't mean you're going to be really about it. And what you consider reparations, as my man Rome said with Revolutionary Blackout Network, your version of reparations ain't the majority of the black version of reparations. You know, reparation is just so big and has so many components to it. But the main thing is cut the check. You old black people. And that's just the start. There's so many things to giving Native blacks, foundational blacks, what they earned, their equality when it comes to equal rights, even financially. So she began to get condescending around these people like, I know more than you. I've studied it more than you. I've been talking about this for 20 years. You just getting in this 5 years. I've encouraged my congregation and people, when I go out and speak on circuits, I talk about this. I talk about the thing that's holding America back. I talk about those things. That don't mean anything. That don't mean anything. So she couldn't even make it past the first election. What make you think she's gonna make it past this one? Now, mind you, I believe Joe Biden should be primary. I believe no sitting president should have a fast track to the next 4 years. There should be somebody to primary them in their own party. There should be somebody in party primary, but she ain't it. And Bernie Sanders is old news. And AOC and Jamal, all them, they quacks and whacks. So Democratic Party has no real challenger. And this is like, and them backing her up or whoever's going to back her up, they really don't want nobody to challenge Joe Biden. But whoever's going to back her up is like throwing crap on the wall and expecting it to stick. Now, do you honestly believe this Marianne Williamson campaign is going to stick? And what proof that you have that this campaign is going to stick? Now, this all started with Cal Kalinske. And by the way, Cal Kalinske ain't the only one that likes seltzer water. I like seltzer water too. So it started with Cal Kalinske and Crystal Ball opening the door because she was looking for a way to open up the door. But how horrible she performed in the last election, because there wasn't much of a performance anyway. You know, she sat the bench and was hoping for a chance to come in and, Coach, can I get in? Hell no. Please, Coach, sit your butt down. You ain't saying nothing. But Coach, shut up. Don't say nothing. Sit down, shut up. What made Kyle and Crystal think that this lady can one up Bernie Sanders? Bernie Sanders, who catered to both the left and the right. Bernie Sanders, who catered to the Rust Belt and urban areas. Now, I'm not singing Bernie Sanders praise because he's nothing but a Democratic sheepdog. And that first election, I fell for it. Second election, now I'm like, no, I'm going to get this dude is not a revolutionary. A revolutionary, if I tried it in your party and it didn't work, I don't care what. I'm trying it for the sake of the people. I'll run independent. Because that's what Trump was willing to do. I'm telling you now, if Trump did not get that nomination, he was going to run independent, and rightfully so. I don't blame him. If you really care about America and you want to break the duopoly system that has been had us in chains for so freaking long, you got to do something different. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting to get a different result. And the way we're going about things where you got to run in this party and that party in order to win an election, that's insanity. If you continue to go that route, changing the party from the inside. We need people to change the party from the inside. I'm okay with people wanting to change it from the running outside, but I need to change. Stop with this stuff. All you doing is getting in the trap that they get you in and you ain't gonna be able to get out. And every person that run in the Democratic Party and run in the Republican Party, if they didn't have the chutzpah, the gonads to say, forget that, I'm running independent. Bernie Sanders had the chance to run independent. He already had the notoriety. And he already had a bunch of independents on his side. He had a bunch of Republicans. Like, he could have ran that election, but the Democratic Party had their hands up his butt. He was the Democratic Elmo. Hey, I'm Elmo. I'm going to support Joe Biden, my good friend Joe Biden. Yeah. Elmo loved Joe Biden. Bernie loved Joe Biden. I love Joe Biden. Yeah. Joe Biden, my good friend. So we're going to get into this because you don't think the same thing is going to happen with Marianne Williamson? What is your sign that the same thing is not going to happen with her? I mean, she'll be the first. I mean, if there's other people running and other people should run, she's going to be the first one to fold. She ain't got it. She ain't it. But let's listen to Cal and Crystal Ball egg her on.
Going to try to convince you that you should run for president.
I've heard you say that before.
Okay. Well, I did a whole segment on it, and I enjoyed it very much as I did it.
I think I...
Now, Cal, you know, fellow New Yorker, Westchester County, bro, you know. Now, you know, this is nothing but BS. I'm like, Ashton Kutcher, come out, because somebody got to be punking me. Some of you punking the American public with this stuff. I believe you've been hanging out with Ashton Kutcher, Cal. Y'all look like y'all got the same spirit, like play jokes on people. Because clearly this is a joke. Running a campaign is no freaking joke, man. People buy into this person as a potential leader. They put their time, energy, effort, money, phone calls, quitting their jobs and traveling and stuff like that. I know I used to be a union organizer. It's the worst thing in the world. It's a waste of energy. Don't get me wrong. Joe Biden need to be challenged, but not with, come on, man. Where's the real challenger? If you ain't got no real challenger, forget about it. You sit up here propping this lady up to run for office. What do she bring to the table? What have she done before political office other than write books and preach? And I'm not saying that's not a monumental feat, because it's not easy writing books to change people's lives, because I'm not going to front. Her books have people say changed her lives. Who am I to argue with them? Her messages change people's lives. Who am I to argue with that? I hope some of my messages change people's lives. But we talking about running for president, Doc. Running for president. A white, Jewish, liberal preacher. Some people claim to be a hippie. Author is running for president. Well, what's the difference? That Trump, we can get on Trump, but Trump always been running for office without actually running for office. Every time they turn around, they ask him about the presidency because they believe he could be a president at one time. Trump was a businessman. And that is a excuse. It's not a good excuse, but it is a excuse. An author is not an excuse. So let's get back into it. I got a lot to go through, so I'm going to try to run through this.
I showed you, somebody took a picture of me. It's so interesting. I showed you that picture when I was watching you doing that, and I couldn't believe it. I cannot thank you enough for that.
Well, so let me make my case for those who haven't seen it, because I actually think it's important. So you look at Bernie Sanders in 2016 and you look at Bernie Sanders in 2020, and he definitely sparked something. He sort of awakened a generation.
You look at Bernie Sanders in 2016, powerful, great campaign, packing out the arenas. People actually believe in a revolution. You look at Bernie Sanders 2020, nah, dog. He lost half his base. As a matter of fact, he lost majority of his base. Only just sold out cult like cuckoos like all you sticking with the Bernie Sanders campaign. And I did videos on, did Bernie Sanders turn his back on the revolution? Did he become a Judas to his own people? And the answer is yes. He chose Hillary Clinton over his people, over the people who was willing to run a revolutionary, renegade campaign. Out there campaigning for this war hawk and maniac Hillary Clinton. And folks, don't give me this old excuse. Well, Bernie Sanders, he loved black people. He changed himself to a black person. Man, that was back in the 60s. Back in the 60s. Get out of here. John Lewis did some great things back in the 60s, but as he became a politician, he morphed into an anti-black person. Why do you say that? Because he catered for everybody else but his own community. We're not going to get into that. Let me get back into Kyle Kulinski.
He ushered in this new wave of a New Deal kind of politics that reminded people that this is possible. We don't have to always be permanently stuck in the...
He ordered a new wave of New Deal. Sucking up to Joe Biden. Kissing Joe Biden behind. Well, my good friend Joe. I'm going to support Joe in this Ukraine effort. I'm going to support Joe in this. I support Joe in this. And we need to do this and we need to do that. That's FDR-ish. And folks, stop using this FDR campaign stuff. Oh, he's like FDR, since FDR, better than FDR. Get out of here with that mess. FDR wasn't all that. Especially when it comes to my people. Sure, he helped out during the war. He helped boost up the economy. Bill Clinton did the same thing. But that don't mean these people are moral compass for your change, for you personally. FDR sat there and spit in the face of black people and told us we need to wait. These boutique liberals and these loft liberals in New York, they love them. Some FDR from up here anyway. They loved them some FDR. Oh, like FDR. FDR was not kind to black people. Told black people, look, forget you right now. I got to make this pop off. We might talk about you popping off later. And he didn't want to talk to us. Just like Joe Biden talking about, look here, Ice Cube, we gonna talk with you. Just stop talking about you're gonna do a deal between us and Trump and whoever bring the best offer. That's who black people gonna go with. Shut up with that stuff. We gonna talk to you after the election. He ain't talked to that man yet. Let me get back on it. I get tired of people always invoking FDR. Tired of hearing that FDR crap. No. He's not no LBJ, but LBJ done more for black people than FDR, and LBJ was a flaming bigot, flaming oil tycoon bigot from Dallas, Texas. But we find a way to muscle him and getting things done for us. Muscle now.
Bill Clinton model or the Barack Obama model. There's something better out there, and it really got a lot of people involved in politics. Now, after 2020, you look at the way everything unfolded, and I could sit here all day and do the sour grapes thing, and I could give everybody the 1,000,001 rationalizations as to why Bernie went down. 2016, the DNC was involved. There was definitely some fuckery behind the scenes, to say the very least. 2020, I like to call it bloody money.
Stop all that crap, Cal. Stop all that crap. Oh, it was some dirty money. A welcome dirty deeds that Bernie Sanders welcomed. Because if he didn't, he would have said something about it. He would have pushed back on against it. He would have called it out. Now, look, again, no fanboy Trump. But if them Republicans would have did that to Trump and Trump had evidence, he would have cut their head off with that stuff. Bernie Sanders just, he just bowed down, cucked out, whatever you want to call it. He just weak. And he's still up here fanboying Bernie Sanders. To this day, Kyle Kulinski is still fanboying Bernie Sanders. Get out of here.
Monday, when you had Mayor Pete and Amy Klobuchar, they all dropped out on the same day, endorsed Bernie, endorsed,
Wonder how that happened.
Endorsed Biden, and the media also went in and really went for the jugular and compared him to Fidel Castro, and you want the U.S. to be like Cuba. So I could do that all day. But when I look back...
Still don't mean nothing, dude. He's a sheepdog. Well, at the end of the day, if I don't win, we're going to support the Democratic nominee.
At it now. He sparked something. It's very important. But now the torch needs to be passed. And the question is, to who? For as much as I love Bernie, he does have some blind...
The torch need to be passed. But who? Marianne Williamson? Well, I'm telling y'all joking me with this stuff, man. This got to be some Dave Chappelle, some Richard Pryor, Red Fox type of jokes, man. Marianne Williamson, pass the torch to Marianne Williamson. I mean, at least Nina Turner had some kind of experience and guts. At least she got some leverage with the people. And I'm not pushing her. I'm not asking her to run. But she would be a better pick than Marianne Williamson. You talking about Marianne Williamson? All of them a joke. Tell you the truth. All of them done told you to stop criticizing Democrats, and if I run, I guess you're gonna be criticizing me too, and all that kind of stuff. All of them done that. And that's why a lot of people say, "Forget you, Democrats. I'm leaving. I'm not supporting anybody." But if somebody run 30 party, all my energy is going to them just for spite, because how you look down on us, the voters, how you don't consider us at all. We're trying to scream at you, letting you know that this ain't it. And you telling her, well, you ain't got no choice but to deal with this ain't it. We call out the squad for being frauds, and you talking about we the best, they the best we got. That's what they've said about, I mean, they've been saying about that about Democrats. Well, you know, you can't call out blah, blah, blah. They the best we got. That's the all. I remember there was a lady was telling her daughter got beat up to a pulp. And her mama convinced her to go back to her husband who beat her to a pulp. Well, you know, Sharon, you know, he's the best you got. I know he got some issues, you know, but he's taking care of you. He put you in that nice house, put you in that nice car. You know, you're not hungry. You're dressing good. And I know your eyes swole up looking like Mitch Green, looking like Rocky Balboa too after what you call him, beat him to a pulp. Clover Lane beat him to a pulp. I know you're looking like that, but he's the best you got. Get out of here with that mess.
Blind spots, in my opinion. One of those blind spots is that he's been in Washington, D.C. since roughly 1784. And when you're in D.C. that long, even with the outsider credentials that he has, through osmosis, you sort of become part of that system. And so he thinks...
Outside credentials? So they still trying to paint Bernie Sanders to be an outsider. Man, that is so far gone now, Cal. He is inside as they come now. He is deep inside where he's now sitting on committees doing the bidding of Joe Biden. Not doing the bidding of the people, but doing the bidding of Joe Biden. He is not an outsider. And he never been an outsider. He may be the independent, but that's all. That's the only outside he got is the name independent. He's no more outsider than John McCain was in the Republican Party. He mavericked out a couple of times, and that's about it. So black people out to the crime bill using the Violence Against Women Act as an excuse.
Of Joe Biden, first and foremost, as my friend Joe Biden, even though I have these gentlemen's ideological disagreements with him. And that's the main problem, too, is that it's not gentlemen's disagreements. You're talking about the Iraq War. That's a war crime. You're talking about the Patriot Act. You're talking about a plethora of policies which have honestly led to the downfall and the destruction of this country in many respects. The reason why I think you're the heir apparent is because you're not Bernie Sanders. You have agreements with him, and on many policy issues, you're the same. But you actually offer people something in a...
All right, so I'm sorry for keep stopping, man. We got a lot. I got a lot to unpack right here, man. So, because I got 3 more videos I need to show. You're not him. No ish, Sherlock. She don't look nothing like Bernie Sanders. Of course, she's not him. But she agreed with some of the Biden policies. She agreed with some way Bernie Sanders moved. I mean, she's very protective over Bernie Sanders. She almost cut your throat over Bernie Sanders. You say something about Bernie Sanders. She only do that to cater to Bernie Sanders followers. And I hate to use that word followers because none of us should be a follower of nobody. We're voters, but not followers. People sell you out in a New York minute. And I'm going to talk about that in another episode dealing with Hakeem Jeffries, Jamal Bowman, and AOC, three politicians that represent my area in New York that then getting too cocky, and somebody gonna have to chop them down in their mindset that you work for us, dude. We don't work for you. But that's another story. Well, let me get back into this.
Particularly nihilistic age and moment, you offer people something that's different than any other politician that I've ever seen. Now, look.
All right, Cal, tell me what she's offering. That's so freaking different. Let's go.
I came up with not just only progressive politics and Noam Chomsky. I was also part of the new atheist movement in a way with Richard Dawkins and the whole like condescending to religious people like, oh, you believe that? Like, oh, you wizard in the sky? Idiot. Like I was part of that whole thing, right? But,
you notice she cleared her throat because that's her. This boy insulting her in her face at the same time asking her to run for president.
Grown, and I look back at a lot of that stuff. I think I cringe a little bit, and I think well, it's obviously more complex than that, more sophisticated than that, and I wasn't giving it its due diligence. And so you touch something in people that honestly is more of like a spiritual thing. It's more of like an energy.
Like who, Cal? You? Did she transform your life, and now you're a believer? No, you guys are just so freaking desperate to get somebody to run for office every freaking election. You're desperate. You're desperate. And you don't encourage them to run third party. You're going to encourage them to run in the Democratic Party because that's what you do. You're the founder, one of the founders of the Just Us Democrat. I don't even call it Justice Democrat. It's just us Democrats. And Cal's gotten to that level too. He's getting to be arrogant, elitist. Cal's making a lot of money. I don't know what's his relation with Crystal, but they look a little too chummy. They getting a little too more Joe Scarborough-ish and Nika Brzezinski. I don't know what's going on there, but that's not my business. My point is, tell me what she's done that's different from Bernie or Joe Biden.
Thing where people need to feel like there's something deeper in life. There's a greater purpose. And it's not the same kind of thing that the fundamentalist evangelical Christians do, where they make it about this doctrine of like hate. Yours is like, no, we can work on a collective problem.
Now, let me stop here. Not all Christians are pushing a doctrine of hate. Because I'm one. I'm not ashamed to say it, I'm one. And if it wasn't for the gospel, I would be dead. If it wasn't for the principles that I learned, I would be dead. The circles that I run with in the kingdom and Christian circles I run with teach empowerment. They don't teach bondage and slavery. They teach love for all people, even the ones who don't like us. I'm hearing all this stuff coming from Democratic Party and these religious circles. Hate your enemy. Hate your enemy. I'm hearing do good for them. And a lot of people think that's weak, but it's a little more into that. It's not just saying they're laying down for them and let them do whatever they want to. You doing good doesn't mean laying down. See, that's why I said my show got to be about more than just politics, because a lot of stuff I learned, a lot of stuff I'm still learning, a lot of stuff you can learn from me, a lot of stuff I can learn from other people. But, doing good don't mean laying down and becoming a carpet for people and not being able to stand up and stand back and stuff like that and fight. turn the other cheek don't mean that you can't just let somebody do something. It's a whole lot to it. But let me get back to this. The bottom line is Cal Clinton. I'm not going to go through this entire video. You can go ahead and watch it. It's up. Cal Clinton is going to come up with every excuse for her to run because they have nobody else to run. They look at Nina Turner and see that she got whooped in her own election twice, and they don't have no confidence in her. So they're not going to ask her to run, which probably would be a more fireball, more energetic, more transcending candidate than Marianne Williamson. And again, I'm saying she should run, but Marianne Williamson, man, that got to be one of the hilarious things I've ever seen in my life. Because what have she done politically? Where is her movement? Where is her belief struggle? Where is her supporters? What does she do to inspire people to get out there and make phone calls for? What has she said? What are her policies? What is her platform that's going to say, yeah, we need this. I'm going out there and campaign for her. Because without a campaign, you dead in the water. You're not getting nowhere. And I don't see a campaign with her at all.
Project together, which moves us towards a better future. So given the fact that you have the economic credentials, the populist credentials, the outsider credentials mixed in with that extra element, which I don't see from
economics, outsider. Are you freaking kidding me, Kyle, man? Come on, man. You know better than that, man. What is it? What is her economic credentials? What have she did to empower other people's lives financially? What policies has she pushed locally, statewide? What city council has she sat on? What board members what board meetings have she went to advocate for the people? You got to tell me something, man. Because I told you, you got to vote on people past, present, and future.
Anybody else on the political landscape, no matter how much I might like some other people in the political landscape, I think that's why it's your moment, and I think you should run in 2024.
She even laughing at her own jokes. It ain't her moment, Kyle. It ain't. But let me see if Crystal got something to say that's full of BS.
Well, first of all, just on a personal level, respecting your intelligence and your political perspicacity as much as I do, please know I'm honored to hear you say that, and I thank you. And I think there is a anointing.
Let me go to Crystal, see what she got to say.
That FDR did. FDR corporate forces, whose behavior, if a lot of people think you're the problem, no, you're both being screwed by the same people. Yeah. They're the problem. And I think more and more people are beginning to see that. Whether I'm a person and whether my running is charity for all, you got people where positions, higher education.
All right. So the reason I skipped through that is this whole point is she's trying to talk like a populist. She's trying to agree with your mindset and your thinkings to kind of pull you in when she's totally the opposite, man. Her and Hillary Clinton was best friends, man. She was joined at the hip with Hillary Clinton. She is no disruptor. She is no revolutionary person. She is the same old deal, just with a spiritual perspective. That's all. She's so pro-Biden, pro-Democratic Party. Get out of here with this mess. Now let's hear Bree and her talking about this run of Marianne Williamson.
Midterm election, it appears President Joe Biden's star may be shining a little brighter. According to reporting by the New York Times, Democrats like Congressman Henry Cuellar and Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal have said they would support another Biden presidential run. Younger Democrats have also shifted from looking at potential job opportunities to a Biden re-election bid.
Until now, Bree, until this debacle with Russia and this Nord Stream pipeline and it's about to bring us to the brink of destruction, man. I mean, we used to talk about, man, if Trump get in office, man, we all gonna die. He's going to push the nuclear. He don't need the nuclear codes. Even Biden said that. But, bro, you don't need the nuclear codes. And even if you did, you probably would have forget it. And you probably sit on the button by accident and taking your Geritol and blow us all up. He's taking us to the verge of war. And like I told you, once we get in it, I'm going to talk about this. I can't talk about it now. It's too much. But once now the UN Security Council and investigators have done their investigation on what happened with the Nord Stream pipeline, Russia could declare war. And they can strike and have every right if we were involved in that. And I don't think Russia want to do that. But I can't say we don't want to do that to Russia. What did the Russian people do to us? What did the Russian government do to the United States? But we doing whatever we can to aid and assist other people to go against the Russian government. And I'm not no Putin sympathizer. I don't like Putin. I don't like Biden. I don't like none of these suckers. But I see what's going on. Now, let me continue with Joy. Joy, the hair girl. Got a sister up in the Bronx can hook you up.
But do the American people feel the same way? According to a poll conducted by CNN and SSRS, 59% of Democrats and Democratic-leaning independents would like to see someone other than Joe Biden at the top of the ticket in 2024. Joining us now to unpack all this is author, activist, and former Democratic presidential candidate.
And lo and behold, since there's a gap with a bunch of independents, lo and behold, who's the guest person on the horizon? Somebody that's trying to set herself up to run for office. And this is too long, so I ain't going.
Marianne Williamson. Marianne, it's wonderful to have you back.
Oh, it's always good to be with you guys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So Joe Biden obviously had a bit of a win in these midterms. I think the performance of the Democrats was much better than anticipated by a lot of pundits, at least, if not the polls. And that's being attributed somewhat to political choices Joe Biden has made. What do you think about his future in the party, his future leadership, what his strengths have been and where he should improve?
Well, I certainly want to give the president credit where credit is due, and he did defeat Trump in 2020.
I want to give the president credit where credit is due. You always give him credit. He defeated Trump. So the number one goal is to defeat Trump. Okay, you accomplished that goal. What did Biden do that's different from Trump? We still got wars going on. We still got proxy wars. We're still feeding the military industrial complex. It's like that's crack to our leaders. Military industrial complex is the drug dealers, and they dealing high-priced crack known as military weaponry, and we got to help people get it because we stuck on this power stuff.
And that's a very big deal. But I think the big win in the midterms was the American.
Defeating Trump was a big deal. How? I mean, I wanted Trump to be defeated, but not with no Joe Biden. But how? Because the way I see it, neither one of them are no good. So how that mission accomplished, how did that help America? We're on the verge of a freaking thermonuclear war.
People. It was the American people stepping in. And remember what the opponents were in the midterm elections. What the American people said no to were a bunch of election deniers and people who were so outside the box of it.
Bernie Sanders should have been pushing the same thing when it came to this election. Trump is using Bernie Sanders' opportunity to make a name for itself, and when Bernie should have took that opportunity to make a name for himself. They rigged this thing, and and Bernie was like, "Go ahead, rig it. As long as I get some notoriety, and as long as I can get a position, as long as I can sell my books, I'm good."
Anything that we should consider respectful of our democracy. I think the fact that the president was obviously the right man for 2020. That's a very different
So Joe Biden was the right man for 2020. Well, why did you run against him? You didn't see yourself as the person for 2020? That's one of the stupidest things I ever heard. I'm going to run for office, but I don't see myself as a person for 2020. I'm telling you, this your girl, this, where my fingers going? This your girl over here? This your girl over here. He was the right man. Bernie Sanders was right. So that's a cold diss to Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders wasn't the right man. Donald Trump is the right man. I mean, Biden was the right man.
Situation than what we're going to be confronted with in 2024. And no, I don't think that the idea that we should just anoint Joe Biden and just assume that he's the guy for 2024 is a good idea at all.
Well, I don't have high expectations from a conservative Democrat like Henry Cuellar. I expect him to endorse Joe Biden. But what do you make of someone like Pramila Jayapal, who is, poised as a progressive leader of sorts, saying at this juncture that she will support a Biden 2024 run? Are you surprised and or disappointed by that?
I don't know if I'm surprised at this point, given the fact that the progressives didn't even support Nina Turner, that the progressives didn't even make a peep when Hakeem.
Now, here we go. She's catering to progressives right now. She don't give a crap no Nina Turner race, man. Get out of here. And she's right. They didn't support it. They told Nina Turner, kiss my behind. It's just like I'm over here in New York and I'm seeing AOC out here stumping for Bernie Sanders, and you got Cori Bush, and she didn't even endorse Cori Bush. And these people are not serious about making things happen for the American people. They don't even endorse each other. And when it come down to signing for a bill or voting for a bill, they take turns on being fall guys. Why? Because it's a scheme, it's a game to them. And now here, Marianne Williamson, she's lightly playing the game right now by placating to the so-called progressive. Martin Luther King used to call them the white liberal base. The boutique liberals, the loft liberals, and I call it loft liberals. These people live in Midtown Manhattan in these high-priced $500,000 to $1 million apartments, $7,000 a month apartments, when most people can't afford that. These are the people who support the Democratic Party and fund the Democratic Party and have the fundraisers. And when a lowly old you who work as a janitor at a corporate building making $27 an hour come in and try to speak, they're going to rush your butt out of there. But let you be one of these boutique left people or these loft liberals, let you be one of these big high-rise donors, they ain't going to kick you out. They'll let you say your piece and ignore you because you got the money. And that's what Marianne Williamson is. She's a boutique loft liberal.
Hakeem Jeffries just took the baton from Nancy Pelosi in order to perpetuate that same kind of corporatist thinking. So I can't say that I'm surprised at this point, but of course I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed at the lack of choice that the Democrats are allowing. The point of a political party is to facilitate democracy, not suppress democracy, not make it so that nobody can say anything other than their pre-prescribed agenda. And that's what's happening right now, isn't it? With changing the primary schedule, making it so that Joe Biden can just stride into South Carolina where he knows he has James Clyburn and he knows he has.
Well, we all have that. And they changed the first few elections. They did that on purpose to try to make sure Joe Biden looks strong. To make sure the corporate Democrat looks strong. And that does not favor Marianne Williamson. So once again, how do you believe that she's going to win? I don't think none of you believe that she's going to win, but you just think she need a primary Joe Biden. But my point is, yeah, but she's running like she can. She's going to go out here and saying, yes, we can. She's going to go out here and print up pamphlets thanks to your donor dollars. And she's going to go out here and do advertising thanks to your donor dollars. She's going to get a nice big old bus, say Marianne Williamson 2024 on the road to nowhere. She's going to get all your money and spend all your hard money on a vanity campaign, on a good luck, no chance in hell campaign.
Has Jamie Harrison, and he knows he did well last time. All of this is designed in order to suppress any idea of a progressive challenge or any challenge. I think it's bad for democracy. I think it increases the distrust that many people, particularly young people, have in the Democratic Party. And I think we should just start right now calling foul so that they don't think they.
Young people don't have trust in a party. They have trust in a candidate. The young people are not like the old generations. It's not about Democrats getting together to garner up Democrats' votes or Republican votes. This generation has far advanced more than us. It's not about being in a cult group or being in some type of Democratic religious organization, because a lot of you guys are real religious about this partyism stuff. The preacher can't do no wrong. The preacher can sit there and have affairs with 5 other people. You're willing to forgive them, but you'll point the finger at the other person, preacher down the street, and talk about him like a dog, but not your pastor. Joe Biden have sexual allegations before the election, Tara Reid, the whole 9 yards, and y'all think it's a flock, but Trump's not a flock. That's religious. That's occultish. And who knows more about occultism than this lady right here? And it seems like she's trying to coach you in, man. I'm telling you, I don't trust used car salesmen, man. I just don't trust them. You know, they beat on the car and yell and say, you know, get this car. I'm the best. We got the best. You are the best. We the best. Come get the best. Tom Steinmetz Motors. Bam. Come get your car right now. You got Dusty Rose right next to him. The American Dream, Dusty Rose saying, come to Tom Steinmetz and get this truck, $399, $499. That's what Marianne Williamson is doing right now.
They can continue with this and everybody's just going to go, oh, okay.
And beyond 2024, frankly, because I think there's, in my view, I think there's going to be a low chance that Joe Biden faces a serious opposition in 2024. But beyond that, if he tries to, anoint Kamala.
And that's Robbie just insulted her in her face. There's a chance that Joe Biden may face a unserious. In other words, I don't take you serious, Marianne Williamson. I don't care how many times you come on my show. I don't take you serious.
Kamala Harris as his personal successor. Will the changing primary field be designed to make her have an easier kind of stroll to the nomination, when at that point you really could have the opportunity to have a.
She was just as bad as Marianne Williamson. Kamala Harris ain't winning jack. I don't care. The only way she become president is Joe Biden croak in the next couple of years from whatever. That's the only way she become president. That's her only chance. And she's probably like that lady on Veep. Can't wait for the president. Oh, it's my hoe. He's in the hospital? Really? Oh, God. Oh, yes. Yes. That's Kamala Harris on the sidelines. Oh, Joe Biden, he got COVID? Oh, yes, Lord. Please. Stop, Kamala Harris. You shouldn't be doing that. Please, Lord, please. Because it's the only chance I'm going to get to be president, Lord. Please shine down on me. Get out of here with that mess. So, again, another video of Marianne Williamson trying to act like the outsider, trying to act like the progressives, trying to act like the anti-Democrat, running in the Democratic Party, trying to sucker you into, I'm a female version of Bernie Sanders. Ain't no way you're a female version of Bernie Sanders. And saying that ain't no gold medal. So after she got on that, she went on Jordan Chariton's show and talked about her campaign. Let's listen to her.
And who knows, might be running again. Recently opened an exploratory committee for a potential run. How you doing, Marianne?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, so I wanted to start off. Obviously, there's a big fracas in terms of whether it's you or.
By the way, Jordan, you eating good, bro. I don't know what you eat, man, but you eating good. I can see it. I thought I was chunking back up. Bro, you eating good. I don't know what you eating, man. Gefilte fish or whatever. I don't know what you eating, but you slapping it on, man. Too much mayonnaise or something. You putting on some chunks, man. The wife is cooking something good.
Or anybody else run within the Democratic Party if you're running on a presidential level, third party, etc. I wanted to ask you, because I think a lot of people who
Chick ain't running on no third party. She's too much of a coward.
Who are just fed up and don't want to run again in the Democratic Party just look at it as the definition of insanity is repeating the same thing over and over again. Obviously, we know what happened in 2020.
It is the definition of insanity, Jordan. It is. This is insane. I get it. You want a primary Joe to debate him and get him more to the left. But let me tell you something, and I'm going to say this, and let me get myself up here for a second. Not for nothing. Bernie Sanders' campaign and the pressure because of the people. I'm talking about the first campaign. I'm not talking about that crappy second campaign. The first campaign and the pressure that he put on the Democratic Party and the possibility that he may go third party and the amount of people, the supporters that he got, when they start seeing these arenas getting packed out, when they start seeing some wins from Bernie, when they start seeing some endorsement from Bernie, and how aggressive and how committed his supporters were, the Bernie or Bust people. I was one. I named this channel Bob TV. It was named because my name's Bob, and it also stood for Bernie or Bust TV, and I used this as a platform to encourage. I was there. The Democratic Party Bernie Sanders had so much leverage on the Democratic Party, but that he was able to get just a few people compared to what the Democratic Party got and change that platform. Now, how in the blue, red, heaven and hell, what is she going to do? How can she make it go left? Because the whole purpose of primary somebody is to get them to move to the left. What more much more to the left can you get these people, Marianne Williamson? You ain't that powerful. You ain't got the juice. You don't have the power. You don't have the collective. You don't have the supporters. You don't have that fear of, if you don't support me and my supporters, we're going third party. You don't have that, girl. So how in the blue hell are you going to move these people to the light, more left in the Democratic platform? Because that's the purpose of you running. The main purpose. Because your show ain't got no chance in hell to win. So if you ain't got no chance in hell to win, your only other job is to get him to move to the left a little more. But Joe Biden ain't moving no more to the left. That Democratic platform is about good as it's going to get. Bernie Sanders sitting in a high position right now doing the bidding of Joe Biden won't even move him more to the left. What in the hell you think you going to do, girl? Lady? Queen? Whatever you want to be considered. What are you going to do running for office? Get out of here with that mess, man. Let's get back to what her and Jordan. Get out of here.
Les Moonves made the
Right.
significant. I don't minimize in any way the significance of the unholy alliance between, not naive about any of that. But we have to look at the whole picture here. And I also want to point out, if you look at the Democratic Party, look at what happened even in these last midterms. Greg Cesar from Texas, Summer Lee from Pennsylvania, Celia Ramirez from Illinois. There are some new progressives in the House. So it's not like the fight's not going on there. At the same time, I certainly
see her whole point. Now, like I said, she catered to black people with the reparations, hoping to get black people on the side, and we smelled through her BS from the jump start. And now she's trying to get the progressives on her side. Anybody she'll kiss their behind to get them on their side, and that still don't work because she ain't it. She ain't it. She ain't got it. She ain't. This is going to be a campaign, a waste of your time, a waste of your energy, a waste of your money. But bro, Rob, you're trying to tell people, I thought you wasn't that type of person. Bro, I'm just telling you the plain old facts, the truth. And you might not can't stand the truth. At least in 2016, we believed. We believe. I got caught up in it. I believed. 2020 came after 2016 and how he just caved into the Democratic Party. And then when I found out some of his policies, really looked into some of his policies, I'm like, nah. You fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. The 2020 campaign, Bernie was running. I knew it was another episode of Punk, and I was like, Ashton Kutcher, come out. I'm not doing that. You're not going to get me again. And now you got somebody with less credibility, with less energy, with less support, all that. And you think she's going to win against Joe Biden. Man, if y'all don't wake the hell up, man. Wake the hell up, man.
I think third-party voices are significant. I don't minimize in any way the significance of the unholy alliance between the Democrats and the Republicans, by which...
You don't think third-party voices are of significant, lady. You just doing that to cater to potential third-party voters to try to get them on the side of the Democrats. And I feel you. I understand, but I'm going to try to work on both sides. You know, I am an outsider. I am literally a third-party candidate that's running in the Democratic Party. That don't make sense. It didn't make sense with Bernie or anybody else. So how that makes sense now? At the end of the day, you run in the Democratic Party, you're going to cater to the Democratic rules and bylaws, which states that at the end of your race, you must support the Democratic nominee. And you're not going to buck up against that. So again, this is a wasteful campaign, and it hasn't even getting kicked off yet.
Third parties have been peripheralized. You know, abolition came from the Abolitionist Party. Women's suffrage came from the Women's Party.
Here she go. Here she go. With the word salad to try to get you on her side, talking all this abolitionist, advocate, revolutionary, I'm all that. My campaign is all that. I'm a revolutionary. I'm an advocate. I'm a freedom fighter. I'm a freedom rider. I'm a rider-data. I'm all that. I'm not, don't look at me as just any other candidate in the Democratic Party, because I'm not. I'm Marianne Williamson. Go look at my record. Go look at my messages of love and empowerment, and go look at my stance on reparations, which Black people are shutting down. It's too low, lady.
Social Security came from the Socialist Party. Political parties are not even mentioned in the Constitution. John Adams said they're the greatest threat to democracy. All that is true. But I also think it's naive to think if only we go third party. I know for myself, if I run, Jordan, I know that the effort on the part of the Democrats will be to invisibilize my candidacy.
You invisibilize your candidacy. You did it in the last election. You're doing it now. Nobody has to expose you on anything. All your messages on YouTube is already out there. All your beliefs and thinking apparatus is already out there. They see you as a hippie. I'm not saying you are. And then again, you might be into the hippie stuff. I don't know. I don't know you like that. But the bottom line is you're trying to paint yourself an outsider within the Democratic Party, and that is not a formula that mix. Is not. And all you boutique liberals and you loft liberals are falling for this crap, which is going to bring me to this, what Jordan said. Let me keep going.
They will have an easier time invisibilizing my candidacy if I run as a third party. I want to be in there. If I run, I want to get to debate.
So she's making an excuse that they have an easier time visibilizing. How? You want to have a real debate with Joe Biden run third party? You don't want to debate with Joe Biden. You want to debate him in the party. And then at the end of the day, Joe Biden wins the nomination because we got too many sold out Black people. And we still got some people, white corporate structure that leans more conservative and ain't going with Joe so-called kooky, hippie behind. They ain't going with that. They're going to go to conservatives. You're going to have more conservatives that's going to support Joe. You're going to have more conservative Democrats. You're going to have black sellouts that's going to support Joe Biden and is going to try to shame any Black person if they don't support Joe Biden. You ain't got that kind of structure. You already expose yourself. They're gonna expose yourself in the Democratic Party. So you might well just run. You just got a better chance of debating Joe Biden. You ain't got to suck up to him and support him at the end of the day as a third party. Now, look, I'm not endorsing her or anybody else to run. I'm just saying this is foolishness. This is spit in your face. This is a laugh at you because they say, hey, let's get let's just pass the baton, Kyle Kalinske, to Marianne Williamson, and we'll make her the heir to the Bernie Sanders movement. There is no Bernie Sanders movement. It's dead as a doorknob. And guess who killed it? Bernie Sanders. And ain't no way she's going to pick up that movement because she's not Bernie Sanders. It is dead and gone. You can bring in lies. You can bring in Jesus to lay hands on it. It ain't rising up because Jesus ain't rising that up. Some of you fools out there talking about, oh, Bernie Sanders Jew and trying to compare yourself to him to Jesus. Get out of here with that mess, man. Let me keep going.
Joe Biden. I want to be able to actually be not easily ignored. And if I run as third party, it would be easier to ignore me.
How would it be easier to ignore you, lady, if you run third party and you have to debate them on the stage just like Ross Perot did with when he was on the stage? I think between Bush and Bill Clinton. He had more opportunity to expose them both as a third party candidate. He had the opportunity to really get at them. And guess what? He didn't support neither one of them after he lost. He didn't send his votes to none of them. But you definitely gonna do that when you lose. You lost already.
Which is not to discourage people, particularly, individual races are different. There's some districts where you could get there as a third party person and it would help. But if somebody feels in their conscience, and
she's making every excuse not to run third party, but she want to appear to be an outsider. Every excuse. Now I can understand in 2016, Bernie Sanders running in the Democratic Party because a lot of people didn't know who Bernie Sanders was. Him running in the Democratic Party could have been a strategic move because all he needed to do, his job was to get his policies out on the main platform against Joe Biden, running in the Democratic primary, pushing the policies more than himself, pushing the $15 minimum wage, blah, blah, blah. The policies got a lot of popularity. Even Republicans jumped on the policies, which put the Democrats in fear. Hillary Clinton talking about $14 minimum. Let's start at $12 an hour minimum wage. Bernie said, what? $15 an hour is the minimum. That's minimum in the lower countries. He pushed her because the popularity began to rise. See, this is why you run in the primary, so you can push people to a certain position of policy, especially if you know your chance is slim to none. Now, again, Bernie Sanders had that leverage in 2016. His popularity grew to a point where he started packing out. So if he decided to run third party, which he could have did and didn't do it, he punked out because he's a punk. Instead of him, especially when they find out they cheated and, the WikiLeaks stuff came out and stuff like that, man, Trump would have ate them people alive with the WikiLeaks stuff. Trump wish he had that. You know what I mean? He wish he had that kind of evidence. Bernie Sanders said, nah, I'm good. Forget it. Supporters, forget it. I'm not going to fight. I'm not going to expose them of their chicanery and cheating. I'm not. We lost. We'll fight another day. Let's support Hillary Clinton. At the Democratic National Committee, I was there. We was ready to turn up. We was ready to go to jail. We wanted a real revolution because we bought into the policies, not Bernie, but the policies and his ability to fight for it, trusting him to fight for the policies that he had on the platform. We did that. was willing to ride or die for him, but he wasn't willing to ride and die for us. He bent the knee and left too many people left to the curb. A lot of them went to support Trump. Trump made a move on that, which was smart, and started talking like Bernie Sanders and got a lot of those people on his side. Not all Trump supporters are bigot and racist. They just somebody that they knew wasn't going to do anything for them, and they were hoping that we got a better chance at least going with this turkey. He talking good. He probably lying, but at least he talking. These folks ain't even talking. At least I got a hope over here. And once again, what is she bringing to the table?
In their gut, the way I can best contribute to the fundamental change in this country is to go third party, then they should do that. But I don't think there should be this projection of guilt or this suspicion of people who go the other way. This is a.
You should be guilty. We tell it. All right. It's not a guilt thing. And you shouldn't make a person feel guilty if they don't support you and they tell you the reasons why they don't support you. Because clearly in the next segment, you're going to start seeing these people in the journalism spectrum trying to make people feel guilty because they won't support Marianne Williamson. So here she is saying, well, you shouldn't make us feel guilty because we don't run third party. It's not that we make you feel guilty. You sit there, you know, you got a snowball chance. All kind of balls, basketball, snowball, all kind of ball chance of winning this election, this campaign. Now, look, anything is possible. Anything is possible. But right now, you don't have it. If Joe loses this election, Joe is going to lose the election. You ain't beating him. And at the rate he's going right now with what's going on with Russia, he's losing this election. And I guess that's the reason why you think you can jump in and win, because he's killing his own ability to campaign. It's not you.
A whole systems breakdown we've got here, and we should use every option at our command to make a change. To me, that includes working within the Democratic Party.
And let me ask you a follow-up to that, because I can tell you, having covered particularly Bernie in 2016, I mean, they invisibilized him significantly. I remember I was at Washington Square Park. He had inside the park and outside the park.
I was there too, Jordan. They invisibilized. Jordan is right. Now, I appreciate Jordan pushing back on her for this.
Almost 40,000 people, and they didn't show it on.
Which you ain't going to ever get, chick. You ain't going to get 40,000 people to show up. You'll be lucky to get 4,000 to show up, if anything, 40. Yo, man, I'm sitting here tripping, man, because this is crazy. This is nuts. I was there in Long Island City. Had to be about 20,000 people. I got pictures of it. I did a news interview with I think one of Russian news TV or something like that. You know, they interviewed me about the campaign. I was there, packed house, Washington Square Park. Packed. Even in his second run, 2020, which I wasn't with it, but I was trying to convince we was doing a campaign for some of the workers at the airport, and we wanted Bernie Sanders to say something about the way this company was treating the workers, because Bernie had an influencing vote at the time, voice. So we tried to get him. We told him, look, man, come on down. You're already in the area. You're about 30 minutes away from the airport. Pop on through. You did that with the when you left the TWU workers, when you came to New York in 2016, you ran down there. He literally ran down there to the CWA workers up the street and went out there and rallied for them. Hillary Clinton wasn't doing that. She was too busy kissing the corporate board of Verizon behind. And then she finally came 2 days later because Bernie Sanders put her on the spot. Go over there and help these people out, man. Just say, go stand at the podium, get it on camera, and shame these people. He wouldn't do it. He tweeted it. This fool's in the area, not even 30 minutes away, could have took 30 minutes out and really said something about the campaign for more pay for the workers at the airport. This fool sends a tweet. And that's the same thing Marianne gonna do. She's not gonna fight for you. What is she doing now to fight for you right now? When the last time she picked up a bullhorn and rallied with you for better pay, for better living, for better anything? Even when she came out here talking about reparations, trying to make it seem like, when did she go out there and push hard and stood in front of Congress and call out the congressman and put a microphone in their face to shame them? She didn't do it because all this stuff is bull crap. She's a con artist. Oh, you called her a con? It ain't no different from Trump.
CNN, they showed Donald Trump's empty podium. So I think in terms of being indivisibilized, if you're one of the only candidates primarying President Biden, couldn't they also just ignore you then too?
Of course they will. Of course they will. But let's go back to the Bernie example, because that argues both things. On one,
you ain't Bernie, chick, so stop talking about a Bernie argument. Stop it. You talking about Bernie, anybody talking about Bernie right now is just a waste of joke anyway, because Bernie ain't nothing but a Democratic sheepdog that's going to suck up to Joe Biden and anybody else in that office. Now, mind you, he didn't like the Clintons. You could see it as you could tell a BSer or not. You know, he didn't like the Clintons. He hated the Clintons, and the Clintons hate him. And for him to go out there and campaign 46 cities on behalf of her, going to the places that would have called out and shamed her, like the Rust Belt, she was too good to go out there. Bernie didn't like that lady. But Bernie loved him some Joe, because hey, Joe Biden's my good friend. You know, him and Obama didn't get along. That's the racism that Bernie has. Bernie has a racist trait in him, and you don't want to believe that, and you don't want to understand that, but he do. And I can prove it to you, and I've done it before on this show and lost a lot of you because of it.
On one hand, you're absolutely correct. At the very beginning of 2016 primary season, Bernie was getting the same number of people at his rallies that Donald Trump was getting. But
he was getting more. Now, she's going to use this as a reason to continue to say she's going to run in the Democratic Party. You're going to hear a lot of buts.
But the media thought they would get more clicks, more hits, more sensationalism out of running coverage of Bernie Sanders. Of Donald Trump than Bernie Sanders.
And they did.
Les Moonves made the pretty famous comment, bad for America, but good for CBS. We all know that. But then there's another hand on which you can't say he was invisibilized in the larger sense. He's Bernie Sanders. He has changed the ethers. Did they do him dirty? Absolutely. But it is in Medicare for All is in the ethers, political ethers, in a way it would not have been without his running. There are so many things that Bernie brought to the table. His entire analysis.
Yeah, but chick, stop. What are you bringing? I've yet to hear anything that she's bringing. Are you going to bring $30 an hour? Are you going to tell Joe Biden to stop this war before he get us all killed? Are you going to keep kissing the behind of the Zionist regime of Israel and ignoring the Palestinians? What are you going to do? Because I heard nothing.
Of the way a neoliberal establishment has.
I'm going to be here all night going through this because it keeps stopping, man, because she's full of bull. So take time out, go watch Jordan video. Jordan do push back on her on some things. And I appreciate that about Jordan. Jordan, you keep doing that. Don't be bending the knee to these politicians and falling in line with this crap. Don't you be doing that, bro. And you need to start talking about reparations on your platform and having people that knows about it talk about it. And I suggest you support it too, brother. You support it too. You know, I know you come from the Jewish community, and we've worked together at times for each other's cause. Ain't nobody been there for the Jewish community more than black people. And I have to admit, there was a time when the Jewish community was side by side with the black community. Now, there's a big wedge against that right now, because you've been told that black people are, not you, Jordan, but the media is trying to tell the world that black people are anti-Semitic when, you know, you do your history on the Jewish culture. A lot of it originated from North Africa and Middle African countries, but that's a history lesson you got to go through. So no, blacks are not attacking the Jewish community. Blacks are not, especially the foundational blacks. We're not attacking the Jewish community or the Asian community. Heck, and we don't even attack our own community. We don't attack. We some of the most loving, giving, tender people around, the foundational black Americans. That's what we do. We forgive you when you done killed our son, which is dumb. Kill my kids, guess what? I'm gonna get you. I never understood that. You know, you kill my son. I'm gonna get you, and then I'm gonna ask for forgiveness later, man. I'm not gonna sit there and say I forgive you. Are you out your doggone mind? No, black people, stop doing this stuff. Call for them to be charged to the highest degree, and if they don't do it, let me put it this way: it was my child. You ain't walking the face of these streets alive. I'm not that saved yet. I'm not that close to God yet. I'm not at that point where I could just sit there and just let you slide. I mean, I've been in a position where I had a lady hurt my son and I had to learn how to walk in love, but it was not easy. But my son was still alive at that time. I don't know if I could have did that if my son would have died. I really don't think I can do that. My ex-wife was like, man, I'd cut her throat. I'm like, go for it. So somebody got to take care of him. We got a long road with him. Anyway, let me get into this next video. I'm almost done. Anyway, another reason she's saying, thinking she's trying to convince people that she's going to be the next Bernie Sanders, and these boutique liberals are trying to convince you should vote for her because she's going to run a campaign that's totally different from Biden, and we're going to pass the torch to her, so support her. It don't work like that no more, y'all. Ain't no passing the torch. Ain't no endorsement. You can endorse them till you ain't got no more endorsements. People not falling for that. Oh, so-and-so vouch for them, so I'm good. I'm going to support them. No, that ain't working. All right, let's go to this another video. All right, this other video. Now, Marianne Williamson say, hey, you shouldn't get mad at me and make me feel bad because I decided to run in the Democratic Party. And I'm like, why not? This is insane. It's insane. They're too big, and their structure is too big, and their platform and their bylaws are not gonna change. You ain't gonna change it. So at the end of the day, you're gonna support the Democratic Party, a party of war, a racist party just like the Republican parties. They just like to cover themselves around black people and stand in front of black people, and they push and they'll push the immigrant black before the foundational black. They do. And they'll support anything else but foundational blacks. They do. Including Ukraine. And you're going to do it too, whether you like it or not. So, you got a lot of people saying, hey, we ain't buying into this. No, this is a vanity campaign. I'm not gonna look. I was on the Bernie Sanders campaign, and like I said, a lot of people quit their jobs. A lot of people had broken relationships because family members wanted Hillary to run, and you wanted Bernie to run, so they had falling outs. Why, I don't know. At the end of the day, these people don't care about you. You get in a car accident, none of them gonna call you, none of them gonna come see you, none of them gonna give you a card. So why you falling out with your family members? And that's the same go for the Republicans and Democrats. You fight, you hating your Democratic brother and sister, and calling them crazy and pedos and all thinking all that kind of stuff, and you doing vice versa on the other side. And at the end of the day, neither of these people care about you. These people don't give a crap about you. At the end of the day, you got each other. People work hard to try to get somebody elected, only to have them get elected and have them turn around and be so cocky, arrogant, and condescending that they don't want to hear what you got to say. And even if you say something, they're going to blow it off. And if you say something they don't agree with, they're going to get somebody to get you out the room because you're making them look bad. Fool, you making us look bad. We want to elect your butt. And Marianne Williamson running for office is that type of campaign where you're trying to convince people to get out there for you when the chance of you winning is slim to none, already in the face. Already in the face. You don't have, you're more of a elitist. You talk like a elitist. You sound like a elitist. You look like a elitist. You don't look like you down with regular people. You always been around elitists. You've been around Oprah Winfrey on her show multiple times. You hang around with the Clintons, your best of buddies. You always have been around those elitist people. And for you to come here and say, I'm going to be a woman of the people, of the working class, I'm going to make sure black people get their reparations. Are you freaking kidding me? So Crystal Ball went on Jordan's show and began to talk about the Marianne Williamson campaign.
Blind, obviously it's fractured. A lot of, the Bernie movement has splintered off a tad bit and been kind of deflated over the years. Do you think kind of the best thing is a primary challenger to Biden? Do you think the best thing is focusing on the local level, or, to hell with all of it and tossing ourselves into the union, organizing a workers' strike, et cetera?
I mean, I don't think any of those things are mutually exclusive.
Now, of course, she ain't going to disagree. She's not going to disagree. She's not going to go on the show and disagree with too much Jordan got to say. And see, I can't. This is why I don't have interviews now. With the software I'm using now, I'm able to interview people, have people come on. But I don't want to do it, man. I've been to cuss somebody out. And if I could, I'll put my hand through that screen and smack you a couple of times. I can't do it, man. I can't do it. I don't have the patience to do it. Because some of the stuff that they say out of their mouth. Now, Jordan asks a question. All right. Which way do you believe is the way to go? Now, to me, worker strike, they do this in other countries and they get stuff done. Me, I'm not supporting none of you. I'm not going to vote for you. I'm not giving you any kind of power. You don't have a black agenda, and you definitely don't support reparation with a cash payment. And if you don't run on it, I'm not messing with you. And Marianne's going to appear to run on it, but I need a serious person that's going to run on it. Because if I rarely hear you talk about it when you go on these boutique liberals show, what make you think you're going to make that part of your platform when it comes to us in the forefront? It's not. You go from black liberator 1 minute when you get around black people, then you go with I'm a progressive the next minute, then you go around the centric Democrats and you say you're centric.
Exclusive, how committed I am to the union movement, and I think that's one of the most hopeful things going on in America.
He's committed
but I also
to the
think
union
that given
movement.
the fact we just saw from the Bureau of Labor Statistics that even in a year where we had monumental, potentially transformational union wins, we also continued our long-term decline in terms of overall union density, so the percentage of the workforce that are members of unions. So to me, that just reinforces that there is no avoiding.
All right, so I'm going to say this right now because I'm a former union organizer. The reason unions are lacking memberships is not just the laws that's on the books to discourage unions. It's the unions themselves and the union leaders sucking up to your politicians that cause the union members to not even want to be involved with the union because they're sucking up to the capitalists, they're sucking up to the corporate structure, and they're sucking up to your capitalist corporate structure sellout pigs known as political leaders. And they sit there and say that TWU endorses this person when the members didn't even endorse them. Only the leadership. People are leaving the unions and tired of the unions because the union not doing their job. And what's going to happen next is going to be outside of unions, even though it's going to be a mass labor movement. Working people are going to hit the streets soon. Don't get me wrong. Of all colors, they're going to hit the streets soon, and they're going to make some demands. And it's going to get ugly because the corporate structure they ain't going to be able to stop this. They're going to try, and they're going to use military might through your local police department to shut it down. And it's going to get ugly, and some folks may die out there. But you got to do what you got to do if you really want change, because America is going backwards, not forwards. And it's because of people like this lady still trying to convince us that the only way you can get true change is through electoral politics in the Democratic Party, not going out there and disrupting things outside of the political structure. She's going to do that. Watch.
Getting in, doing battle, and changing the landscape so that it's not so rigged against working class people. That certainly means local office, but I think it also really clearly means a challenge to Joe Biden in the 2024 primary. I mean,
all right, bro. Andrew Wyatt, you could take your $2 and turn them sideways and stick them somewhere, bro. This is not no pro Marianne Williams campaign. We ain't going. I'm not going with no Marianne Williams. You want to go? She's a con. She's a con. Take your $2. I don't need none of your money, to tell you the truth. I take your money. I can use it. I don't mind you support. And if you do support it at PayPal /$ Bob TV NYC. But I got a job. I work like you. And frankly, I'm tired of the New York workforce and how these corporate structures do New York workers. I'm tired of it. And I'm tired of these politicians and these unions that kiss these people behind, like Joe Biden, Marianne Williamson, Trump, all these people. And I'm tired of people like Crystal Ball making light of this. This lady has money. This lady is making money. This lady's husband has money. I think she's still married, even though I don't know what's going on with her and Cal. She's good. So, of course, you're going to have people like this look down on people like you and me and try to be a little condescending. Now, most of the people saying we need to get out in the streets, and she's trying to tell you, well, that's not it. It may work, but that's not it.
It's not an accident that after Bernie, there was all this fracturing and division and the whole thing kind of falling apart. I think it matters to have national voices, national leadership. I think it matters to have a cause that people can look at across the country and ultimately get behind and unify behind. So I do think that that's an exciting prospect right now.
Obviously, right now, the main figure being rumored about is Marianne Williamson, who ran in 2020. Has stayed active since then with a podcast and going on various shows. She has an exploratory committee right now, and the Washington Post, of all places, did a decent write-up, actually. I was surprised. Here's the headline. Potential Biden challenger, Marianne Williamson, heads to New Hampshire. A recent poll has Biden not so great for the sitting president in New Hampshire. 66% of Democrats don't want him to run again in New Hampshire.
Thank you, looking for $2 super chat. And yeah, Keith, I'm glad to be back on the show. I know this is a long one, but I got to really deal with this one a little bit. It's good to be back. I'm trying to get my juices back in. I mean, I'm a little off the bicycle for a while. Got to get back on and get this thing going, and get back into it. All right, so Joe Biden, his numbers always been low. What do that mean in the short term? Numbers always been low. You can have the lowest numbers, they still gonna find some way to win, using their own laws and bylaws against you, using the database against you, denying you access to the database. They'll find some way to get the leverage. They're not gonna let some fake outside the box, fake workers people, fake pro reparations person get this nomination. It's not gonna happen. Now I'm quite sure they got a plethora of stuff to roll out on Marianne Williamson, but they usually not gonna pull it out until the right time, some scandalous stuff. So thank you, information man. I'm glad to be back on, brother. Glad to be back. All right, so so this whole thing, you got people, look, folks, you got people in the black caucus. They're for $15 minimum hour wage now. They're for Medicare for all. They're for it. These people say they for it, but you don't know if they're really for it. Well, they sign a paper. They're gonna do that because they need you. Anything these people do is to get your vote. It could be lying through their teeth. They do this stuff to get your vote, and you fall for it like a sucker. What have you done to push this? What have you done? Have you helped people with your own money to buy drugs that they couldn't afford? Because you got a lot of people here in New York City, elderly people, they're making a choice between to eat food. That's why we encourage the elderly people, don't spend your money on food all the time. Go to the senior centers and eat the free lunch there. Don't spend all your money because you got to buy drugs, because here now New York got a good medical program. It's not Medicare for all, but they made it a way where you don't have to pay based on your income, and it's pretty decent. It's not Medicare for all, but it's pretty decent. If you're not working, you're not paying for medical. If you work, you do have to pay, but it's not as much, So I'm not knocking that. But back to my point. You got these people that's going to say that they're for this and for that. They're only saying that to placate to you. They're only saying that to pander to you, to get you to support them. And some of you fall for it, hook, line, and sinker. I did it. I've done it. But now I've learned to look at your past, present, and future. And if I don't see no paper trail of you fighting for this thing, other than you just saying it, then I'm not believing your crap. Marianne Williamson has spoken at so many churches because she's a preacher. And have she collected any money and took that money to help out that local church or the local churches that are reaching out to the homeless and things like that? Because I do give the ministries. I do give the churches. Every church isn't bad and the preacher just pulpit preachers and trying to get your money. Not every church is like that. Some of them actually go out and help the community. That's the purpose of them. Some preachers don't even take a salary because they need that money to go out to the community. Now, Crystal Ball is trying to convince you that, hey, she supports all these things. She's the best thing we got. And y'all gonna sit there and believe it. And if you don't bite on this this apple that she's trying to give you, she's going to be like Marianne Williamson and get cocky, arrogant, and condescending. Why? Because she is herself a loft liberal, a boutique progressive. Starbucks coffee, they don't even drink Star coffee. That's beneath them. I have to go to Bouger Cafe House over there on 5th Avenue. That's where I go. Starbucks, are you out of your mind? It's not even real coffee. It's not even real coffee. I don't get my coffee. I go to Puerto Rico over there by NYU and I buy my coffee, import it, and make it myself on my unique handmade coffee grinder. That's these people right here. The bougie left. No different from bougie Republicans.
Mayor Pete, or Transportation Pete, is beating him. Even Bernie and Warren are somewhat close to Biden in that poll. I ask you, to me, I understand why progressives are deflated, but you have to actually look at Biden's strength and relative weakness. I mean, COVID really did in Trump in 2020. Arguably, if he would have given another check, which later on, Trump blames Mitch McConnell for not giving an additional COVID check. Arguably, Trump could have won re-election, even though he was disastrous in handling.
And these numbnuts were prepared to give Trump the check. But the reason Nancy Pelosi shot it down because she figured it's going to help him win. You see how condescending and how ruthless and vicious these people are. Trump was talking about, I think, a $2,000 check. Let's give him a $2,000 check to kind of help him out. And they were so fearful that this was going to get people on Trump's side that they say no. And Biden said, well, I'm going to give you a $2,000 check. As soon as he got in office, he didn't give you that. He gave you $600. I think he didn't give you that. Wow, son of a guns. And these people propping up these people like that.
COVID, obviously, we know what just happened in the midterms. It wasn't an endorsement of Biden. The overturning of Roe v. Wade played a huge part. What do you think in terms of it obviously historically would be an uphill climb, but if it were Marianne Williamson, her being competitive?
There is no doubt an insurgent campaign is always going to be difficult, and the odds are always going to be stacked against you. And the DNC is always going to do everything they can to rig it against you. And the media, although, right now they sort of like the drama of Biden appearing weak and this sort of like internecine battle over the order of the primary states. Once they see you as a serious contender, they're gonna be out for blood. All of that is certainly true. However, do not buy the media narrative that Biden is some strong leader, that he's inevitable, and that he doesn't.
I've gotten to the point now, I don't think that once they find out you're a serious contender, they're going to be out for blood. I really believe they pick their candidates. And if you don't go with them, they don't care. If you don't go with their pick, they don't care. They're going to attack you, the voter. I believe that the people already agreed that if we don't get any traction, we're going to support this guy because he's the one that we picked. They've oftentimes go to people and tell them, you cannot, I don't want you primarying this person because the party is going to support this person and we're going to fund this person. So if you're looking for any kind of money and funding for us, forget about it. We're not getting, that's how they did Ayanna Pressley. Oh, they wasn't supporting Ayanna Pressley. They was supporting one of the Kennedy kids. They did that with they did what Andrew Gilliam. They wasn't supporting Andrew Gilliam. They was supporting Bob's granddaughter. Both on white. They're not going to support the black guy. As always, we're not going to support the black guy. We're going to support the white guy. We only going to support the black guy if we ain't got nobody else. We're going to support the white candidate. And black candidate, you got to go on your own. In turn, it doesn't matter. And what happened is Justice Democrat and our revolution came in to try to fund their campaign to get them to fight against the Democratic Party within the Democratic Party. But still, at the end of the day, you're still supporting the Democratic Party, win, lose, or draw. And that's the problem with Marianne Williamson. At the end of the day, you're a Democrat, and you're going to be pushing Democratic policies. You may pull them to the left, but at the end of the day, whoever's in power, you're subjugated to that person. Whether it's Joe Biden, it doesn't matter. Oh, we're going to get your hopes high that this person's going to be in power. But at the end of the day, we ain't going to allow that. We'll find some way to make your hopes and dreams go away. Now, as far as them, they already know the deal. They know that go for it. If you win, great, but you're still going to be subject to our rule in the party. If you don't win, then you got to support whoever do win. Stop falling for this stuff, people.
Have weaknesses not only with the general electorate at large, but specifically in the Democratic base. That poll that just came out of New Hampshire, the White House is shitting bricks about it. I mean, right now, like, it makes me barf that it's Pete that's beating Biden, but the fact that you have an incumbent president of the United States, someone.
Now, that poll is going down when it comes to Mayor Pete. Now, Mayor Pete is not a major candidate, no contender, no more than Kamala Harris is if she decides to leave Joe Biden and run herself. Pete ain't it. After that train debacle, it's over with for Pete. It's over. They may pick them, and you run against Pete. Pete is the default guy, but at the end of the day, he's going to lose to a Republican. So he ain't it. None of these people are it, folks.
Supposedly, we were told after the midterms really shored up his position. He's really in a position of strength, et cetera, et cetera. You're losing to Pete, the dude who just like screwed up the entire airline system and broke a rail strike, you're losing to that guy in a key early primary state. And you have 66% of the Democrats in that state saying, we don't even want you to run again. And we're supposed to be persuaded that this guy is unbeatable and you can't possibly defeat him and don't even bother, don't even try. It's bullshit. It's complete nonsense.
Right. I also think they might have some self-inflicted wounds here. I mean, the Washington.
And look, that's not the point, Crystal. The point is, even if you do beat Joe Biden, you're still subjugated to the Democratic bylaws. You're still subjugated to the platform. That is what's going to fuel you. That is your energy. That is what you're there for. And if you violate that, you're done. You're done. So it don't matter whether it's Joe Biden, Joe Blow, or Joe Fro. It doesn't matter. If they're running in the Democratic Party, they're subjugated to the Democratic bylaws. They're subjugated to the Democratic platform. And the purpose of you being in office and the purpose of you being a legislator is to push what's in the Democratic platform. So you can act like you're a revolutionary all you want. At the end of the day, when you start legislating, it's going to be same old business as usual.
Ashton Post story points out, this is Mo Elite, he's with the DNC Rules Committee, on Biden trying to knock New Hampshire off as the first primary state and put South Carolina in its place. Quote, I think this ought to put even more pressure on the New Hampshire Democratic Party to figure out how to get this done. If I were them, I'd be very careful right now about giving out the impression that they are opening the doors to challenging the president. But the New Hampshire primary, the Democratic Party head in New Hampshire has said, yeah, you trying to bump us out is actually going to embolden a primary challenge, because people in New Hampshire take their place as the first primary state very seriously. Biden, I know some people don't like the word, he's trying to rig it, put South Carolina first to benefit him.
Yes.
And folks, look, let's admit this. I know this is taking a long time. I gotta get out here and get something to eat, but I'm back. You know how I do. Can you really say it's rigging when they already have it in the bylaws? They can switch that. No, it may not go in your favor, and you may call it rigging, but if it's in the bylaws, they can change it up. See, it's already been proven that the Democratic DNC is a corporation. They're not there for you. They're there for the organization. They can care less about you, the voters. They can go and smoke, and they prove this in a court of law. They can go in smoke-filled room and pick their candidates and decide whether you vote for them or not. This is our guy. This is our nominee. They already proved that in election. During the Florida election, when that sister rigged the election down there, her and Debbie Wasserman Schultz, something else. At the end of the day, the bylaws give them the leeway to do whatever they want. So you can't call it cheating. You can call it rigging, but that's what the bylaws and the platform is designed to do. To keep it in the hands of the powerful in the party to make the final decision, not you. Not you. So we can complain about it. We can get upset about it. That ain't changing. And that's why a lot of people saying, why are you wasting your time running in that kind of party when you're subjugated to the party leaders and those bylaws and the platform?
And, you know, he loves to postulate, oh, this is all about having more diversity in the Democrat. Come on, dude. We see what you're doing here. You performed like shit in Iowa. You performed like trash in New Hampshire. You got like 5th place.
And you voted for him, girl.
So you don't want them to have a say.
You can talk about him all you want to. You can rant and drown and cuss out Joe Biden all you want to. At the end of the day, you support him. So what? I didn't support him. I believe all that stuff about him that you just said. And I didn't support him because I'm not going to lend my vote to somebody I have no trust in. Somebody who's always smearing and being snarky and condescending toward my people. I'm not going to do that. He's been more condescending and snarking toward my people than Trump. And Trump has been condescending and snarky to my people, but not as much as Joe Biden. If you don't vote for me and you ain't black, y'all gonna have to work with the Latinos because they bigger than y'all. I ain't doing nothing for y'all. I'm not gonna sit there and violate the doggone Constitution on behalf of y'all. Who you think I am? You need to, don't worry, don't be looking at me. And go on and on and on. Oh, Joe Biden, do you think they should pay the descendants of the people in Tulsa? And Joe Biden looked at the lady up and down and kept walking. Like,
because you don't want to hear what they have to say. So you put a state that you are taking for granted effectively in South Carolina, you want to put them at the front of the line. I think this calling that this is about diversity, it's so transparent that it's really just a power play. So yeah, people in New Hampshire are extremely pissed, not just the party leadership. I think that's part of what's being reflected in this poll is they feel like they're being shoved aside. They feel like they're being ignored. And it's not going to be easy to pull off either, by the way, because there's actually state law in New Hampshire that it has to be.
All right, I'm not going to go through this. Go watch this yourself. State law or not, you still got the DNC laws that controls the presidential campaign. And the state laws are subjugated to the DNC party rules. So stop. I just want to get to one point, Crystal, that kind of pissed me off about her.
But on the presidential level,
let me see if I can find it.
7 to 10% of the normies, 5-year thing.
The third party route, which those doors have already been closed and locked. But even if you imagine that you can persuade people and you can move people or whatever based on the strength of your program, there are just fundamental facts about the current state of our political system that makes the success of a third party virtually impossible.
Now, here's her acting like she know it all, acting like she knows the system more than you regular people, and is going to try to lay down facts to prove that, which Marianne Williamson does that too. And to try to steal your hopes and dream of somebody else running outside of the party to fight against these two parties. What Crystal failed to understand is, of course, it's going to be that way at first. So if it's fundamentally hard for a third party to win an election, how is not running third party is going to change that? Why is it every other country can have multiple parties and we can't? Why is the British Parliament full of multiple parties and the Canadian Parliament is full of multiple party and the German Parliament and the United States Senate, which I believe we should have a Parliament versus the Senate, but the United States Senate don't? It's because we got a bunch of crooks that work together to keep third party out. And instead of you calling that out and pushing against that to open it up for other parties, you're telling people to give up, quit, don't worry about it. Because it's a low ball chance and we ain't got time for that. I'm almost finished with her.
So listen, I can tell you all of the challenges with getting through a Democratic primary. And they're trying to rig it already. They're trying to put South Carolina first. They're already out smearing Marianne, all this stuff, right? No doubt about it. I can tell you all of the obstacles and all of the roadblocks and all of the ways they will try to stand in your way. There is still no doubt in my mind that it is a far more feasible, practical path to some sort of power now versus, the third party route, which those doors have already been closed and locked shut. And so the first battle, if you're.
So because she want, and her and Kyle, her boyfriend, somebody told me they're engaged. I didn't know she divorced her first husband. And kind of figured that was coming. Another Mika and Joe Scott role, boy. I tell you, boys, it doesn't pay to do political and travel with people, man. I'm telling you, you see a lot of, I'm a WWE fan. You see a lot of relationships busted up in wrestling for real because they had to hit that road together with this person. I knew that was going to happen. But nevertheless, she's trying to tell you it ain't just going to happen this way. Third parties ain't it right now. And so you need to get that out your mind and this is the best we got. Forget that. This is the best we got. Baby, sweetheart, sugar pie honey bunch. Cal, yeah, I'm talking to your girl. And I'm talking to you. Common sense will tell you that just because it is that way, don't mean you got to break, don't mean you can't break the tradition. People need to continue to run third party until change take place. You need to stop making excuses for not running third party. See, at the end of the day, Crystal Ball is a Democrat. She's ran as a Democrat herself and lost, I think in Virginia. She know at the end of the day, it's about Democratic rule. And if you run, you got to support the candidate that beats you. No matter how vile, detestable they are and their policies are worth dog crap, you support him and his policies. I'm almost done.
You're like interested, and I think we should all be interested in having more voices than just the two-party duopoly, and moving to a multi-party system would definitely be an improvement to our democracy. Then, okay, let's focus.
She's one of these people that say, hey, the church, they say the church is going to build this Ephesus and we need, of course, we're going to need some money to make this happen. It ain't just going to come out of my pocket. The preacher got to eat too, you know? And these people, and she goes to the church every day, and don't contribute to the building fund. And soon as the building get built without her, look what we done. Now I can bring my friends to the church, or you can bring them before. Why the switch up now? Because we made this thing happen without you. Now you want to say, look what we done. Get out of here. You're a fraud. And Crystal is a fraud. Her thing is what they call propaganda. She's a propagandist for the Democratic Party. She was that way on Rising. She's that way on Breaking Points. And she's being used to continue to bring progressive in, hopefully some non-voters, hopefully some independent voters in, but at the end of the day, pass them off to the Democratic Party and not get them to focus on a real change in our political structure. And same thing with Chink Uger. The same thing. Look, I vote for you based on who you are. I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. I could care less about that crap. You can be third party. I'm looking at who you are. I'm looking at what you've done, what you're doing, and what you plan on doing in the future. That's how I give you my vote. I don't care about none of this partyism stuff. Clearly, Crystal don't. Clearly, Kyle don't. Clearly, a whole lot of people don't.
Focus on those reforms we need to our electoral system so we don't have first past the post voting, so we have ranked choice voting, so that we actually have an ability for third parties to compete. But other than in, you know, certain circumstances locally, as you're pointing out, Jordan, I mean, this is a working families party.
There's many countries that have multiple parties that don't have these ranked choice voting and stuff like that. So she's still trying to say, look, we need you to vote for us so we can push these things in the Democratic Party so we can have third party. That ain't going to happen, girl. Get out of here. Democrats don't want no competition. They good cop, bad cops, depending on who's going to be the bad cop this year.
Because of the way New York is structured, they're able to have wins in New York because of the way that electoral system is structured. It just shows you that the way
we've done that from the grassroots, from the people in New York, from the unions in New York. It was the working people that made that happen with the push to get ranked choice voting. We trying to work that now to get open primaries where a Republican can vote Democrat or a Democrat can vote Republican, or we can vote third party with the open primary system. The people did that. The Democratic Party ain't do that. Voting third party in the Democratic Party. I mean, voting for somebody in the Democratic Party didn't do that. The people pressured city council to make that happen. And because of the pressure from the people, it happened. It wasn't electoral politics.
The rules are set is almost determinative in terms of what's possible with our political system.
Right. And lastly, at the end of the day, I mean, we might be having a very different conversation if after the New Hampshire primary, Bernie did whatever the hell he had to do to get Elizabeth Warren to drop out, even handed the vice presidency, even though that might have, you know, triggered some on the left.
I advocated for that at the time. And now you have the same document mess that this served another 4-year term.
You would have said in
Right.
if you would have said a thought based on in a world that Trump is not crossed differently, Ron twitches, maybe.
All right, obviously I lost my paper that got me to the marker of the point that I need to get to, but let me see if I can get to it. I'm sorry.
Pre-Donald Trump, this wouldn't have mattered, but
Like, totally, there's no there. There's only the name, and the taken little passive Republican nomination is going to be indicted. Now, maybe right back there again. Now with the fetish to them, understandably.
I mean, I was in Akron. There was like 15
unstable. How to see
with us and feature our content when we're on the road. Any thoughts?
Whatever you want to say about the document issue, it's definitely run Republican.
All right. All right. So the point Crystal made in this video, you'll get a chance to take a look at it yourself. Crystal actually was telling voters who say, hey, we're not supporting Democratic candidates. I don't care if they are progressive. We done been through this dance before. We're not going to do it again. We're not giving you any more money. We're not making any more phone calls for you. We're done. We're not going to keep getting on the same treadmill over and over again. And you got to be out of your doggone mind to try to tell me to do this or convince me to do this. You're part of them. Of course you want that because you're part of them. A lot of your money and everything is coming from them. It's not coming from the people. Whether it was in the past, present, or future, a lot of the money is going to come in from there. You get all these people. You continue to, that's going to support you, and primarily they're giving you money. I'm not saying that's happening with Crystal and Kyle, but I will not doubt it, to push people to vote. You got your candidate now that you claim to pass the torch to, and that she's the closest to Bernie we're going to get, and we're going to support her, and we believe you should too. We're saying why? Because of her policies. What policies? Well, she support Medicare for all. That ain't enough. Everybody named mama support Medicare for all. They don't need to be in office though. You're going to continue to push this, and you're going to look down on us because we decide that we want to do something different. Who in the hell are you? Shame on you. You do you, I do me. You focus on your own vote, leave my vote alone. And as far as me, this dude right here, Marianne Williamson, is a joke, man. An epic joke. When I heard, I kind of knew this was going to happen, but when I heard the Marianne Williamson 2024 come out today and yesterday, her possibly, announcing it, I was like, Ashton, could you come out? I'm like, yo, y'all trying to punk us around here. Her? And y'all progressives from progressive land and progressive field and Bernieville, and you're trying to tell all independent voters, all non-voters, and progressive Democrats, this is our girl, let's support her. Give us your money, give us your time. Get out of here. And that's what happened recently. And Marianne Williamson went on a Revolutionary Black Network, Blackout Network, I think that's the name of it. Like I said, I've been out of the loop. There's some radicals on that network that I believe Nick of what used to be known as Fred Hampton leftist told him, probably told him, look, y'all might not want to get on right away. Y'all can listen in, but I don't want y'all to get on, man, because y'all don't take no stuff. And see, if I was part of that network, he probably would have told me the same thing too. Like, bro, Rob, you ain't got no decorum, bro. Yeah, you ain't gonna take too much stuff from these people with their BS, and I won't. That's why I stay in my own lane. I don't join networks. I'll probably be a guest on it or whatnot. I don't mind being a guest on your show, but and sometimes I feel uncomfortable because I know there's a lot of people that are a little more politically inclined than I am. I'm just a regular dude that sees stuff and don't take no stuff. That's me. I'm not claiming to be no political analyst of intellectual proportion. That's not me. But there's a couple people that I think Nick told him, no, it's just gonna be me. It's just gonna be Sabby, and since she likes Sabby, and she really likes Sabby, she figured. I love this segment because she went on there thinking Sabby's gonna protect her. And let me tell you something, Sabby is no slouch. I mean, when she need to, she'll push back on you real hard. You know, I saw her do that the other day, push back on you real hard. Nick tried his best to be diplomatic with Marianne Williamson because, you know, he could smell the BS too. And when you can smell it, it's one thing of I can smell a little BS in it, but when it's strong, man, you want to get that out of the room, man. I don't like chitlins. I don't like nobody cooking chitlins in the house. Don't ever cook no chitlins. I hate the smell of chitlins. And man, it messes up. And that's what Marianne Williams came in to be. She came in smelling like chitlins. Let's watch this.
Revolution, who abandoned his outside game.
All right,
and
let's
what
start
I
at the
consider
beginning. All right, let me get to it.
Neutral. To repent in this genital stagnation.
Hey, Nick.
What's popping, guys? So I'm gonna get right into it. I will welcome our guest, former presidential candidate, author, writer. Thank you for joining us on the Revolutionary Blackout, Marianne Williamson.
Oh, thank you.
Now you know it says Sabby Nick. Sabby and Nick.
Thank you for having me. Hi, Sabby. Nice to see you again.
Hey, nice to see you. I know it's been a minute.
Now here's the point with Marianne Williamson. She's so comfortable with women. She think, well, black women are women, and black women will not turn their back. Black women will turn their back on black men to support white women because we all got the pussy hat on. You know, we pussy hat wearers around here, pink pussy hat wearers, and women's power and women's magic and black. I'm as a white woman, I support black women magic and stuff like that. And you know, but when it, you know, she don't know Sabby like that. And Sabby, she's more of a diplomatic person, and she has her way of dealing with BS. I mean, she'll push back on you, but it won't be gutter like me and like a couple other people on the Revolutionary Blackout Network, you know, like Rome and CJ and all them guys. They'll come back and clap back on you, you know. And look, we don't agree on everything because, you know, I got a business and it's not, now I like to run my business. The thing is, I appreciate all my clients and I show appreciation. And if I had some employees, I believe in workforce democracy. I believe in all that, but I'm not, you know, and people get mad at me. I'm not a communist and I'm not a socialist and I'm not a capitalist. I'm just me. I just like certain things and that's just me personally, you know, but I don't, you know, I don't push back. I don't dog them because they're socialists and I don't dog them because they're communists. We all are entitled to our own way of belief. But anyway, besides that, I applaud Nick and I applaud Sabby. You know, Sabby's all smile. Marianne Williams all smile. She's finding a friend in Sabby, but she don't find a friend in Nick. She don't find a friend in the other brothers on the network because men are protectors. We're hunter-gatherers, we're protectors. And we can see things down the way. We keep our antennas up. Our job is to protect the community. That's how we are. So when we smell BS, we ain't got time to deal with it. Now a woman said, well, let me get this broom and all this stuff and clean it. You know, a man was like, no, she gonna clean its own. You know, she brought it in here and she gonna clean it herself. Why you got to clean it? Let her clean it herself, bringing that BS in here. So let's watch this.
It has, but I see you sometimes, and I saw you once, and I heard you say something like, well, I'll try to have her on. I sort of felt like, well, text me right now. You know, I expected to hear from you then.
Well, if Nick and CJ, I mean, or Rome, if any one of them wanted you on, would you take it because they're critical of you? Would you take the phone call? Would you have a debate with them on these issues? No, because you for some reason, a lot of women can't take a black man's aggressiveness. They can't even take a white man's aggressive pushback. They could take a female aggressive pushback, but they can't take a white male push back. So what make you think you're going to take a black man push back? Because, man, we push back. We'll push you back so hard that you might fall on the ground, and you don't want that. And you don't want nobody challenging you, especially a black man to challenge you. You'd rather a black woman to challenge you, but you don't want a black man to challenge you. And she clearly shows this, man. That's why I'm a little suspect about Marianne Williamson. I think she used black people to her own benefit. It's just what I see. Watch this.
Yeah, absolutely. So I appreciate you coming on and taking the time. We are extremely critical of efforts in running in the Democratic Party. And that's why
I know, I've noticed.
Yeah, you probably have seen some criticisms that we have.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, look at it. Yeah. Of course, she's trying to blow them all, rolling her eyes. Yo, man, I'm pointing out all this stuff, rolling her eyes. Like, yeah, I seen your criticism, but who cares about your criticism? You're just a black man, and all we need is your black women. Girl, we don't want to vote. We vote just as high as they do. We just don't vote just as high for the Democratic because we smell BS a mile away. Well, sometimes it take the BS to actually hit the nose for some people, for them to back off.
I have.
On the rumors of you running, because I don't think it's official yet.
Well, it's official now, Nick.
And I want to pose this question to you, and then we can I usually have a free-flow conversation, but I have a few questions. Then Sabby will jump in with some questions as well. I worked on the Bernie campaign, quit my job, put a lot of labor hours into the Bernie campaign. I know I had so many conversations, met with people, talked with people who was broke, struggling, who was still donating money to the Bernie campaign. $100 million spent by the working class on the Bernie campaign. And what did we get? We got a guy in a movement who threw away his political revolution, who abandoned his outside game, and what I consider $100 million thrown in the drain.
Now, a little different between me and Nick. Okay, Nick is working class. I think Nick is more working class as a primary and black second. Me, I'm black first, working class second. I put my community, and I may be wrong, but from what I see on the show, he is more about working class, which include black people, and then me focusing. I focus on black people first, and then working class second. And there's certain things specifically I believe we need to happen within our own community, and we employ other communities to support or get out our doggone way. Because when it comes to the working class, they want our support to help them get their agenda. But when it comes to our agenda, they're a little lackluster, or they're against it, or they try to make every excuse to not support our personal causes. But when they have something to do, they always look to us, and we usually do it. And now it's time for us to stop saying, well, come over here where we at, and then we're going to help you with this. But Nick is right in this situation. There were many people like him like that, and I met a lot of people like that they really didn't have the money, they really didn't have the time, they really didn't have the energy, but because they believed in the platform and the message, they went all out. The first time, broke. Second time, they wasn't having that no more. After what Bernie Sanders did at the end, he didn't just fold, he turned his back on his people. Turned his back. He didn't say go support Jill Stein. He said go support Hillary Clinton. And that was a spit in the face to the supporters. That was borderline being a traitor. He betrayed his supporters. His supporters were some Democrats. A lot of them were non-voters, a lot of them were independent. And you trying to tell them that you're going to choose Hillary Clinton, a Democrat, over the so-called movement. CJ was caught up in that. I was caught up in that. Well, we donated because we believe in a revolution, a political revolution.
Now, what we got by investing that kind of money is literally PR agents of the Democratic Party. Bernie Sanders is a war pig who's funding war.
See, this is going to rub her the right way. PR agents of the Democratic Party, Crystal Ball, Cal Kalinske, PRs of the Democratic Party. People like Marianne Williamson, public relationships. Don't want to criticize Biden on some of the issues, even go as far as hailing him and giving them platitude and gratitude over some horrible issues.
They are apologizing for the same things they used to criticize Trump for. So I see that as a massive waste of the working class money to do that again, especially someone running in the Democratic Party and someone I view as being a little bit too soft on Biden Democratic Party. So I'm gonna ask you, why do you think people should invest in your campaign considering what we already wasted?
Well, I think.
All right. So as this person say, Nick started off strong. And this is why I don't do interviews, because I feel the same way sometimes. Everything Nick said is right concerning this situation. Everything, and she feel personally insulted because she figured Nick is calling her out. And he has every right to call her out because that's exactly what she do. And I look at Sabby and say like, all right, okay, Nick, don't get too strong. We need to hear her out a little bit. Let's let her have a say. Don't cut her too hard, boy. You know, get the arm, get a finger, son. Don't go straight for the throat.
I think much of what you said is a legitimate argument. I think there are a lot of legitimate points to be made here. One of the times I saw you, Sabby, you were mentioning something that I had said about running as a Democrat and being nostalgic for the Democratic Party of FDR. And you said on your show, oh, Marianne, that Democratic Party doesn't exist anymore. Well, you're right, actually. And that's why I was hoping you were actually going to write. I almost want to say, well, let me on, because you're right. And I certainly understand someone your age, you haven't even seen that Democratic Party.
And she is right. Our grandmothers and fathers seen that Democratic Party and told us how horrible that Democratic Party was. And the Republicans at that time were doing a little more for Black people than the Democratic Party at that time. That party was more about the middle class, specifically the white middle class. So she is going to tell her to have me on so I can tell you how great the FDR administration was. And I'm here to tell you, FDR administration was not that great toward Black people.
Whereas I at least have some institutional memory. My point to that is, so the corporatist Democrats would say to progressives that we're trying to hijack the party. They hijacked the party. Now, your argument seems to be, then don't even give any money or anything to do with the Democratic Party. I can see that argument. But to me, there's another argument which aligns with my view more, which is, first of all, I don't agree that Bernie Sanders made no difference. Medicare for all is now a mainstream issue in a way that it would never have been had he not run.
Yeah, but we had to pay for that. Our point was not just to get the platform changed. That was Bernie's job. Our point was we were trying to elect somebody to actually execute the platform. To this day, that platform hasn't been executed yet. So what you talking about, Marianne?
The whole idea of the egregious gap between the functioning of this government and advocacy for the working people of the United States, I don't think would be in the mainstream dialogue the way it is had Bernie Sanders not run for president. And I also think and once again, I'm not saying you should do it, but I do say if all of us say to hell with the Democratic Party and just leave, then you're going to have two. Already we have a corporate duopoly. Already we have a situation. We have one party completely bought and sold by the corporatists. We have another party which tries to have it both ways. But
no, they're completely bought and sold to the corporates too.
If we all leave, then you've got two major parties doing that. So I simply...
They're already doing that, Marianne.
Submit that it is as legitimate, those of us who feel like working within the Democratic Party, as those working out. To me, the break...
You guys have revolutionary energy. So the working class, we only have a finite amount of resources. We're not like the corporations. So neoliberals and the conservatives, they can spend endless amount of money on this cash.
So what Nick is saying, regular working people ain't got it like that. We can't keep spending our hard-earned money on failed campaigns. Rich people can do that. The corporatists can do that and get a tax write-off for it. We don't have it like that. We got bills. We got rent due. Baby needs some new pair of shoes. Pampers off the chart. Chicken skyrocketed. Eggs $100 for one egg and all that kind of. We ain't got it like that. And you want us to give you money to fund what? And I would call it a vanity campaign or a doomed to fail campaign. That's like putting my money in a stock that I know is not going to make money. Its time is gone. I'm not trying to put my money in no Famous Amos cookies right now. You know, back in no. I like them though, but I'm not putting my money in it.
That $100 million is $100 million that not going.
Yeah, but that was a working person who gave $5 or gave $10, or I would argue that many.
How do you know, Marianne? Nick is a working person. Sabby is a teacher. How do you know the amount of money that they gave? That $5 is still $5, girl. Most of us gave $25, $50, $100 a month because we believed in the campaign. It doesn't matter whether it's a little donation or not. It's still money out of our pocket. Not to mention the time we spent calling, making phone calls and knocking on the door when we could have been working a regular job making money.
Many people I know who are working people who gave $5 or $10 feel that money went towards Bernie being able to put on the stage the ideas that he did. I feel the same way about my talking about reparations.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
And Bernie abandoned his outside movement. Like we had marches for Medicare for All that we couldn't get the people to tweet about. And Medicare for All as a movement within the Democratic Party is dead. And Bernie killed the revolutionary energy needed while people was asking and demanding Medicare for All by now telling people that the Democratic Party and Biden is okay. Biden said he would veto Medicare for All. There's not even a discussion on the public option. So there's no argument to be made that we've gone forward on the healthcare issue. We have gone backwards because now you got progressives, DSA, sheep herding people to the Democratic Party that would never.
Exactly. Just because he put it out there and because it's on a platform doesn't mean it's going to get executed, Marianne. And now we got people like you and other people like that trying to sheepdog non-voters, independents, and former Democratic Party members come back in or join us and get you in office because you're going to push that. Get out of here, man. I'm almost done, y'all.
Give you Medicare for All.
Well, I think we have gone forward in terms of a mainstream conversation. Listen,
conversation is not enough,
Sanders, PR agent, and you have your views and I have mine, and I think that's really what this is all about. None of us have a monopoly on truth. I think all of us have pieces of it. Truth is a kaleidoscope.
Here he is. Nobody has a monopoly on truth. Girl, there's the truth and there's lies. As my pastor said, there's God, the way God see it, the way you see it, and the way she see it. Guess who see both y'all ways? So there is a monopoly on the truth, girl. Stop with this bull crap.
Yeah, I understand.
And
I want to get you in on this. I just want to ask a follow-up to that because I want to make sure I asked the original question because I didn't want you I wasn't trying to put you on the back heels defending Bernie. The question is like, why after that investment, seeing how disappointing these politicians, some of those people you still apologize for, why should we make that?
Wait, why you say some of those you still apologize for? Who am I apologizing for?
You see how offensive she getting? Girl, you apologize for everybody. You apologize for Nancy Pelosi. You apologize for Bernie. You apologize. I stop apologizing. She's apologizing.
Like Bernie has been a massive disappointment. So what I'm saying, like, even if you don't run, because that's just a rumor, our criticism is running within the Democratic Party and wasting resources and energy that should be spent on third parties and outside mutual aid organizations. So my question is, why should people invest in your campaign after seeing the waste that I would consider a waste, after seeing him support war, being responsible for Raytheon and Boeing making record profits? That's a waste. He did not do what we sent him to do. So why should people invest in that same?
Well, first of all, that's your view. I don't even see Bernie.
She's being condescending. That's your view. First of all, that's your view. That's your view. No, answer the man question. He's challenging your point of view. Answer his point of view. Answer the question, because that's my point of view too. I ain't wasting my money on these candidates. Number one, if you're not supporting reparations, you're not a candidate of mine anyway. And I need you to support it up front, not all low key. Every time you go somewhere on TV, you're not even mentioning it. Now, mind you, she did mention this in the presidential election and shut it down, but she should have kept going with it. And you got to take our message, not yours that you came up to crack your behind with. You got to take our message and push it as a political possibility for office. That's what you got to do. And if you're not going to do it, why are we wasting our money? We got programs, we got after school programs we need to fund. We got elderly programs that need money to supply free meals for them during the week and stuff like that. We got so many other places our money could go toward other than a failed to doom campaign.
Exactly as you do. But if I run, people should hear what I say. And if they believe what you believe, then they shouldn't vote for me. This is a democracy. This is what a democracy is about. You have
They love to say that. I'm running. You should hear what I got to say. And if not, don't vote for me. No, you want more than that. You want somebody to support you. You can tell us what you believe now, what you haven't told us much anyway. You don't have to run for office to tell us what a platform will look like on a Marianne Williamson organization. You got to wait till you run for office to garner money to keep you going through a primary that you failed to lose. That you're going to lose, that you're not going to win. You're going to be asking for donations, and you're going to be working with Act Blue, and then you're going to want recurring donations, and then knowing that you're still going to be under the supervision of the DNC bylaws and the DNC platform. You're not going to do your own thing, girl.
View. I have my view, and I don't think there's a saying in AA: attraction, not promotion. I'm not going to be trying to manipulate anybody into seeing it the way I see it. I'm going to put out what I believe, and people will do what they want to do. And I think in terms, particularly those of us who are aligned on so many issues, we shouldn't let the fact that we see things differently in this area or that area keep us from working towards a cohesive movement that would be a fundamental economic reform in this country.
Yeah, thank you.
So Marianne, you mentioned reparations. That's one of the questions that I had is, a while back we had this discussion about reparations. I think you educated a lot of people when you came on to talk about that. And since then, I've talked about it every now and then here and there. And other
problem is, Sabby, she got a re-education on the subject and she didn't want to accept the re-education.
People have come on that are reparations activists trying to push for that as well. In 2020, for your presidential campaign, that was like your number one issue. And so I'm curious, if you do decide to run in 2024, will that still be your number one issue? And if so, how will you persuade the segment of the progressive or the left per se that is against reparations? Because when I do have these discussions on my show, I notice the audience is like 50-50, like 50% is for it and the other 50% is like, no, don't talk about it because it's divisive. How will you persuade?
I still don't get why people say it's divisive. Why? Because you think it's going to come out of your pocket? If we can convince you that it's not coming out of your pocket, would it be divisive? You think everybody else, Japanese and all these other people, can get reparations, and the people who worked and built this country to a great financial superiority, superpower, don't get no credit, don't get nothing? Are you freaking kidding me? Demanding what's rightfully ours is divisive to you?
Those progressives that are against reparations.
If I run, the governing principle, the governing strategy is to say what I think needs to be said. It's like I was just saying to Nick, it's not about persuading. I'm going to say what I think. And I'm going to say what I would do if I were president. And then you either vote for me or not. I'm submitting the belief that this country cannot move forward without healing our past.
I agree with her. But the bottom line again is she does have the right to say what she wants to say and you believe her. But the main point is you get a nomination. That saying what you want to say is all over with. You're now subjugated to the laws, bylaws, and laws of the Democratic Party. It's what the party says you're going to talk about. It's the party platform you're going to push, not yours. If you don't have it edged in the platform, in the DNC platform, it ain't being pushed. I got to say that over and over again. You can run for office at the end of the day. you're subjugated to the bylaws of the DNC party, whether you like it or not.
I submit that there is a debt that is owed. I submit that we have, we had 250 years of slavery. We had, except for the 12 years of Reconstruction, another 100 years of.
She's going over stuff we already know. Look at Nick.
Institutional.
Nick about to fall asleep.
Suppression of Black people in the American South. I probably talked to you before, Sabby, on your show about how I've had the experience many times with white audiences feeling there's such undereducation that when they really see it, they go like, yeah, right? I believe that that's the job of a president and of a candidacy, to put something out there as a kind of huge bully pulpit. And now we had in the 1960s, we had the Voting Rights Act, which has been gutted. We had the Civil Rights Act. I think that if King had lived, and if either Johnson or Humphrey had been president next, I think there's a good chance they would have gotten to the third piece that's necessary, and that's economic remuneration. And until we do, we will be handing this toxic baton one generation to the next. The chances of, see the value of the fact that I'm not from that system, the chances are so minuscule that I would become president. There's nothing to keep me from saying what I really believe, whether somebody agrees with me or not. I believe we owe reparations. If part of the left doesn't like it, it's no different than my beliefs about anything else. Somebody doesn't like it, it's not, I'm a grown woman. I'm going to say what I believe needs to be said. I'm going to hear other people's opinion, because sometimes, none of us have a monopoly on truth, and I might be changed, but I don't see my opinion being changed on reparations, because to me, it's a moral issue. It's a spiritual issue. It's a psychological issue, as well as an economic issue. And I would love nothing more than to be the president who says, we don't need another commission to gather evidence. We know the evidence. Let's sit down. Let's do some negotiation. Let's get this done.
Negotiation, girl. Get out of here. Ain't no negotiation. We know exactly what you supposed was owed. There's no negotiation. But I am glad that you said that there's no more. We don't need no more studies. And I am glad that you're for reparations. But I still ain't voting for you. I just don't trust you.
The very thought is so exciting to me. It's worth running for president.
I'll pass it to Nick.
Great question, Sabby. Reparations is something that I'm very passionate about. That's something that I gave props to you before as well. And that's actually kind of to the tweet that I mentioned before. But it's good to be good on the issues of reparations. The problem is the Democratic Party would never, ever give us that without this kind of struggle. And that's why
I'm sorry.
No, I want to hear from you. Go ahead.
Well, unless we elect more progressives. This struggle that you're talking about.
See, we got to elect more progressives in order to get reparations. We ain't got to do none of that stuff. We didn't elect progressives to get the Civil Rights Act going, the Voting Rights Act going. We applied the pressure from the streets, and that's how we're going to get it. And Nick knows that's how it's going to happen. It's going to happen with the grassroots movement. My thing is, we got to be focused as Black people to make sure that that happens, whether people join us or not. If they don't join us, that's on them. We'll employ them to join us. That's what King did. He employed people to join us in these endeavors, and he let them know that, hey, you making this happen for us benefits you. So there is something in it for you. You think we're trying to take something away from you. No, there's something in it for you. We're trying to get it from the government and get it to us, but there's something in it for you. It's economic empowerment for the whole entire country when you right that wrong. But electing people in progressive positions is not going to do it, Marianne Williams. So stop that crap.
About of suppressing progressive voices on the presidential level, as I'm sure you realize, occurs the same way on the congressional level. They suppress on the primary. Look what they did to Nina Turner. Even the Progressive Caucus didn't support her. Even the Black Caucus didn't support her. So that corporate.
So what make you think that any of those people are going to support you, girl? This is what gets me. This is hilarious, man. You see how they do their own. See how the Black Caucus didn't support a Black woman for Congress. So you think the Black Caucus is going to support you? You see how the Progressive didn't support Nina Turner? Oh, they're going to support you? Out of here. I'm almost done. This is the last
separatist
point.
element suppressing progressive voices in the Democratic Party occurs on the congressional level, just like it does on the president. And the only way to override that is through a massive political revolution at the ballot box. So where you take that.
A massive political revolution. She's spitting that Bernie Sanders crap. The only way this is going to happen, the only way you're going to get reparations is a massive revolutionary at the political box. All conning and scheming words, trick bag words to get you hooked and to believing that it's going to take electing progressives to the political to the Democratic Party for change to happen in real life. No, it takes you. It takes many of you applying the pressure to the federal government to bend the knee. Or if you don't, all hell is going to break loose. All hell is going to break, whatever that is, Like I said, back in the 60s, we took it to the streets, man. We did everything, man. And when we started arming up, I'm not encouraging people to do that, but when we started, exercising our rights to bear arms, when we started going out to protest, when we started showing up at the courthouses and stuff like that, when we started doing so many things like that, that freaked them out. And they got to moving. And it's going to take that same kind of freaking out to make these things happen. It's not going to happen through electing people into progressives to the Democratic Party. So kill that noise, girl.
To go third party, that makes me say we got to get in there. And I don't think either of us is wrong. I just think we have to do everything, whatever our gut says, our heart, go for it. That's how I
love
see
the energy, and I never dissuade people for taking their shots. And I always say that our focus should be 15% electoral politics, not that much. That 15% is organizing for stuff like reparations and class wins. I have a theory. I'm not sure if I'm 100% right, like we all say, but I have a theory that, especially with, as you said, Black Caucus, Democratic Party, all these neoliberals that are against reparations, there is no way that as a Black community, we are getting what we want politically through the two-party duopoly. We are 13% of the population, and both parties wedged that. They wedged that against us. And we voted for the Democratic Party at a 90% rate every single year. So they don't even run on our issues. Everyone else get their issues except ours. Yeah. The only theory I have of change in terms of electoral politics, which I wouldn't put that much stock in, the only theory of change that makes sense to me is as Black people and our allies, we form third parties and then we force the politicians to carve that support. So if you lose an election as a Democrat because you lost the Black vote,
now, I kind of see things, Nick, way I believe that we should not even be attached to any party. We as Black people need to, number one, detach ourselves from political party. You know what's going to happen? They're going to open up the primaries to anybody. Because now, if we've detached ourselves from political parties, they can't count on our numbers. They can't count on our supports. They got to go back to begging and wishing and pleading instead of thinking that they automatically got it. And, we got the Black vote. We got the Black vote. The Black people got us. We ain't got them, but they got us. They're going to always support us. No, Black people need to do what Malcolm X said. Detach yourself from political party and become a voting bloc and vote on who will run on our issues and really be serious about it and do it two-way. Like he said, most of it in the street, grassroots, and a little bit running for office. That's how it's always been. Grassroots, a little bit office. Grassroots, a little bit office. We need to really get out there and apply the pressure on all politicians, on all structures, corporate structure too, that if you're not supporting, if you're not going to be helping your politicians put reparation, forget us buying anything from you guys. We'll go back and make our own, which we should anyway. So I agree with Nick on this situation. Now I can't say that we can't make things happen strictly. I could say we can make things strictly happen on the grassroots movement, and let these politicians know, forget our vote. If you're not supporting it, and if you're not going to push it, and if you're not going to run your mouth on it and get aggressive about it, then I'm not going to do that for you. So miss me, go on about your business.
I guess the next candidate has to run on reparations then, right? So that's why third parties have to be a leveraging tool of our community who gets nothing. Under the Biden administration right now, Black Americans are weak. Our community has been destroyed. The police is stronger than ever. We get nothing going through this strategy. So with 50, this is my question. 50% Americans said they're ready for a third party. So we need that spark. We need something that will start that. So we need people that is willing to run third party to start this spark. So I want to ask.
In other words, CJ is asking, why are you not running third party? Why are you running the Democratic Party? You know what's the end result is going to be almost 100% of the time. You know what's the end result. You're not going to have the end result running third party.
Ask you this, like, what is your objection towards doing that, if there is one?
Well, first of all, there was a lot of teeth in the first things that you said. This issue of the Democratic Party being taken for granted, I mean, Black America being taken for granted by the Democratic establishment. But I would argue that you would, if Black America wanted to say to the Democratic establishment, don't take us for granted, voting for someone like me would be as effective as voting.
It's not just about the Democratic establishment. See, they love to slip that in, the establishment. It's the party. It's the party. Their whole entire party is an establishment. It's like a business. You're going to do business at that establishment. The restaurant name, it's not about just the name. It is a restaurant. It's an established restaurant. You're going to eat. That's what establishment really means. Establishment is not corporate Democrat. Establishment is how the party operates. And you ain't changing that just because we vote for you. You're the moment you say you're running the Democratic Party, you became part of the Democratic establishment. You might not be corporatist, then again, I don't know. But just the fact that you're running as a Democratic means you're part of the voting establishment in the Democratic Party.
Voting for someone in a third party, because you're still outside the context of the corporatists who are running on the same old, same old. Bernie Sanders, despite the things that you said, many of which were true, did come within striking.
I believe in Bernie, but go ahead. I'm just saying it was disappointing, man. But sorry, go ahead.
I understand, I understand. I get it. I totally get it, and I agree with that.
You don't get it because you're asking us to do it again.
Bernie Sanders came within striking distance of the presidency. You know, the way I look at it, and once again, I don't think this is really an issue of right or wrong. This is an issue of a lot of ways to look at it, and everybody having to find where they feel they're.
Them saying Bernie Sanders becoming a striking distance of the presidency is a tool they used to say, keep hope alive. I use it as a tool to say, there's no hope, because you can get that close and they're going to cut you off the knees. And even if you do win it, again, you're subjugated to the Democratic laws and bylaws.
Skill set can be most helpful. Bernie, if I run, and I run as a Democrat, it's going to be very inconvenient for the Democratic establishment. They will want to invisibilize me. But if I run as a third party candidate, it will be so easy to do that. I feel that if I'm in.
You hear the talking points, the same talking points you used on Jordan's show.
There, I can get in there. I can say, Joe Biden, you got to debate me. I can go in there. I can put these things on the table.
You can say, Joe Biden, you got to debate me, and Joe Biden could say, I'm not debating you. Nancy Pelosi didn't want to debate. I think his name is Sharif Karaj, or whatever his name in San Francisco. She did not want to debate him. These people don't have to debate you. You think they have to? They don't have to. They can blow you off. Look, what's his name? Did not want to debate Marcel Dixon, James Clyburn, because he knew Marcel Dixon would have ate him alive. So you talking about? I need to put me in third party. I mean, put me in Democratic Party so I can debate him. Stop. That's not an excuse to put you in the party. He don't have to debate you, and you can't make him.
So yeah, I think there need to be vital third party efforts. I don't think that I'm the one to do that. And by the way, too, phenomenal mysticism. Marianne Williamson is ultra uncomfortable during this interview. You can feel it. No, I'm not.
You're uncomfortable.
I just want to jump in really quick and say,
she saw what a viewer watched, and she's gonna challenge the viewer. This is who you got want to run for president. Somebody that's gonna challenge you. Won't let you challenge them, but they'll challenge you. The nerves of you to challenge me, I challenge you back. The nerves of you to say that to me, I'm not uncomfortable. You didn't have to say nothing, girl. Let people say what they want to say. This is how people view you. Condescending, arrogant, elitist, claim to be for the people when you're really part of the establishment.
Why not? Like I've kind of changed the focus, at least like on my show, to focus more so on local politics, because in reference to the progressive policies and progressive issues, I've seen them pass on the local level. So I'm kind of fortunate. Right. I'm in Massachusetts. We've passed a lot of these things, the $15 minimum wage, the wealth tax. We've already passed a lot of those issues, but I've also seen red states pass those issues as well, Marianne,
like Kansas with the abortion thing recently. That's where ground zero is now, is on local and state. Absolutely.
Exactly. So looking back at it, I look at people like some of the members of the squad, and I feel that people like Cori Bush, AOC, I feel like they actually would be more effective on the local level. They went into Congress, they went into the swamp, and they're obviously heavily controlled by Democratic leadership. That's one of the issues that Dennis Kucinich had. That's one of the issues that Cynthia McKinney had, is that they call the shots. Why not run for something on the local level? Or is that something that you have considered?
Savvy, that's an insult to her. She too elitist to run on that. She thinks she's an international figure. She sees herself as an international figure, not a local figure. And she gonna push back, and as well, she found out she pushed back. Local? Oh, I'm a former candidate for the president of the United States. See, she got that under her belt now. And I'm running on a national stage with national issues. The nerves of you to ask me why I won't run on a local level. You're saying that like I'm going to get in the way of something big that you're trying to make happen.
If I woke up one morning and I'm going to run for city council, I'd run for city council. I'm interested in changing the conversation in this country. And there is no platform for changing the national conversation like a presidential candidacy. And I am fortunate in that I do have, being an author, having a national audience, I feel that my greatest contribution is to bring up certain topics that are not convenient to the system, to talk about genuine fundamental economic reform that, as Nick has pointed out, is not now occurring, the larger dynamic of American history, the aberrational chapter of the last 50 years, and the massive theft from the middle class and the poor in this country. I feel the way I can make the most powerful impact to make that case, to say it in a way that matters, if it would be to run, if in fact it feels like I can run. If I can't put together enough of a campaign to give it enough heft, then I won't do it. That's the period I'm in now. Is discerning that, but that's what I want to do. I want to.
Now you could clearly see she's looking at the comments and they're irritating her. She hates this. She hates to see the people saying, you ain't it. She hates this. Why she keep looking now?
To help upgrade the national conversation in the direction of justice.
Marianne, I know you only have around 20 minutes or so. I appreciate your time. Any final questions that you have, Sabi? Any final thoughts or any last words you have before we send you off? Sabi, go ahead.
Just one about foreign policy, because this is an area where the president can act alone and doesn't necessarily need the approval of Congress. So I'm curious to hear your feelings and your thoughts about the war between Russia and Ukraine right now. Like, how would you respond if you were president of the United States? And also in reference to Israel and Palestine, how would you respond in those particular situations?
So why don't we do Israel and Palestine? Okay. Israel and Palestine is a very, it's really bad right now. Netanyahu's new government is the most extreme far-right government that's ever been in the history of that country. As bad as it has always been, really.
This man has been in power forever. Why they don't call him a dictator?
For the Palestinians, now everything's worse. It's a real anti-democratic authoritarian direction. And it absolutely must be confronted. Clearly, the occupation is a prolonged occupation like this is against international law. Clearly, the settlements are against international law. Clearly, international law says that if you do occupy territory, then you must use the resources of that territory for the benefit of the people. Biden seems to have kind of taken a hands-off approach at this point, and the American president must stand up more forcefully. The United States, to me, the moral mission statement of the United States is the Declaration of Independence. All men are created equal. Obviously, the whole idea is to expand that franchise. It doesn't just mean white people, it also means black people. It doesn't just mean men, it also means women. It doesn't just mean straight, it also means LGBTQ. And I think we need to recognize that doesn't just mean Americans. So to me, the United States foreign policy, as well as our domestic policy, when it comes to Israel and Palestine, we should have equally robust support for both the security and the human rights of both people. The only way to do that at this point is through a two-state solution. Now, I understand that some people would say that a two-state solution is dead, then we need to resurrect it, because the only answer to that is a situation that is, everything else is untenable. So the American president should stand up. I think this is one area, to be honest, where I think Obama did make an effort. And
all right, so let me get to the last question, because clearly CJ is going to push back on this. I mean, Nick is going to push back on it. CJ did post it that she's trying to delay the question on Ukraine. I'm not going to continue to go through this. At the end of the day, the rest of the crew came on because they just couldn't take it no more. And Marianne Williamson got the hell out of there, got out of Dodge because she couldn't take it. And Rome ain't gonna take that either. So I'm pretty much done. But look, at the end of the day, she did decide to run for office. It is up here that Marianne Williamson confirmed she will run for president in 2024. Prominent progressive. She is not progressive. Stop that crap. Progressive is the buzzword now, and people want to use that name to try to get votes. Who ran for president in 2020, confirmed in an interview published Thursday that she will run again for the Democratic nomination in 2024. That will put her in the Democratic primary against President Biden, who has announced his own plans, but is widely expected to run, who has not announced his plan, but is widely expected to run re-election next year. So what could happen in this situation is if Biden don't run and step down, he'll probably that means there's gonna have to be a new election. Kamala Harris don't automatically get it. If he decides to step down and early, Kamala Harris will get it. Like I said, that's the only chance you're gonna win, slim to none. And if he steps down, this could put put the Democrats in a position where it's Marianne Williamson versus Kamala Harris. Oh God, no. Two horrible candidates. It ain't got nothing to do with whether they're women or not. Just two horrible candidates. You know, you got the love guru, and I like love gurus, man. Don't get me wrong. I'm a love guru myself. Against the super pro-cop Kamala Harris, who has no policies. She piggyback on everybody else's policies. All she got is the left program, whatever the heck that means. Give people lift. So that's what we got, man. At the end of the day, we're screwed. It doesn't matter what Donald Trump run or Ron DeSantis run. The Democrats are going to hand this election to the Republicans, and they don't care. They really don't care. Bernie's too old. Bernie's messed up his opportunity, and quite frankly, there's a little shady stuff with him anyway. And Pete Buttigieg, he would never win an election. Joe Biden had to save him because he wasn't going to be Mayor Pete if he lost, because the people already rejected him down in South Bend for the water crisis. So he was done. Kamala Harris, the people was rejecting her for state senator again. U.S. Senator, I told them his dip after Tulsi took her head off. So she didn't have a chance to win the election. So what do Biden do? He saved them by making them a part of the cabinet. So you're attached to that cabinet.
Give me your hands.
So
Give me. Okay, all right.
It's going to be an interesting year. We have the Democratic Party have no real strong policy. None of these people that you see is it.
What's up? Spray your ass again.
And they ain't gonna be it. And they ain't gonna ever be it. So I'm not wasting my time on it. And when you got people who are not it and they run a candidate, if they run for office, the whole campaign is not gonna be it. It's gonna be it with an SH in front of it. I'm sorry to say that. All right, we done. I'm Bobby Brown with the Bobby Brown Show. I'll holler at you later. This took lengthy time because I saw these videos and I need to go through these videos. You got PR people that's going to cover for Marianne Williamson because they know that at the end of the day, they're Democrats. They don't want a Joe Biden. They're going to always go for somebody outside of Joe Biden. But at the end of the day, they're going to support Joe Biden. That's your crystal ball. That's your Todd Kalinske. That's your Chief Uger and Anna and all them people. At the end of the day, they're going to support the Democratic Party. They're going to shun you away from. They're going to shun you away from voting third party because they're scared that Trump or DeSantis will get in office. I'm scared. Any of y'all numbnut politicians who don't care about black people. I'm scared with any of you guys in office. You told me don't vote for Trump because he's going to bring us to the brink of nuclear war. Look what Joe Biden has got us. We live at the brink of nuclear war. And it's time for the people in the streets to push back on every politician, go to every town hall, show up where they show up and call them out. You people talking about, oh, that's horrible. You're showing up at the restaurant. Hey, ain't nobody told me to come eat in my neighborhood. That's my neighborhood. He going back to D.C. I got to live here. So, yeah, you eat your food, but I'm going to confront you about what you're doing in Washington, D.C. I voted for you. I probably didn't vote for you, but there's a reason why I didn't vote for you, and it's that. And you people who vote for him, stop covering up for him. You know we're about to get in a nuclear war, and you still up there talking about, oh, that's our guy. That's our guy. Your guy's about to get us in a nuclear war. And he may be your guy, but it's okay to challenge your guys on the dumb issues that they're running on or following on or decisions that they make. These are dumb decisions, and instead of you trying to cover up for them, you need to get in his face and challenge him. So I shout out to my brother who over here in the Bronx who went out there and challenged Hakeem Jeffrey. I'm gonna try to get this brother on the show. He's gonna be my first guest on the show, and we're gonna talk about why you and I need to get in the face of these politicians and remind them that you're subjugated to us, not the DNC bylaws. Us. We understand that you're gonna be subjugated to the DNC bylaws, but we can make it where you don't have to be subjugated to the DNC bylaws at all by not voting for you. Anyway, I'm out of here. Holler at you later. Peace.